Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Issei was so powerful that everyone lock him and torture for Harem? Part 2. Before I start, please do support for more awesome content, and subscribe my channel and like this video. Go support and follow the RageRevan for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story. Link in the description. Issei looked at Kenneo, who had her two tails in the air and her wings out in the open, her tails swaying in the wind. Her cat ears out in the open. He was angry at Kenneo betraying her, and had an idea on why she ended up betraying her. No. Kuroka muttered with horror seeing her sister turn like this in this manner. She glared at Sairorg for letting her fall this low and being solely responsible for this. So Kenneo, would you give me the honor of telling us why you betrayed us? Kenneo soon stopped being stoic and started to laugh. Her laughs were completely filled with insanity. This horrified many, especially Kuroka, knowing full well that being with the Gremory would have pushed her to this level. Kuroka could only tear up seeing this, knowing what the Gremory clan did to her. She wanted to lunge at Sairorg, super devil be damned. But right now, she was worried about her sister's state. Is it not obvious that damned Rias Gremory made me her personal slave? I was only used for my power and fame, Kenneo exclaimed with a tone that surprised everyone that knew her. Her emotionless tone was replaced with outright fury, fury that could burn through even a thick metal sheet. Issei then asked, "So, what is your objective, Sairorg?" Revenge, Issei asked calmly. He understood the insanity that Kenneo is going through, as she retorted, "I am not going to let Rias Gremory use me as a slave anymore, and I don't mind being considered a stray devil, just like how Ne-sama was." Kenneo retorted with anger, as she didn't mind being a stray devil like her sister Kuroka. She then continued, "And besides, it is quite amusing to let my power consume me. It feels amazing, and I feel powerful." Issei only shook his head, and spoke, "You are letting power get in your head, Kenneo." Kenneo hissed in response like a cat and exclaimed, "Like you have room to talk, Sairorg!" Kenneo exclaimed with venom, as she continued with the same tone. "Time after time, you and the Hakuryuta have been consumed by power and let your desires cause destruction." Issei flinched upon hearing this statement. Kenneo was not wrong in this. She was aware on how destructive battle between the two can get. He then thought, looking at her, she has been completely consumed by insanity. I shouldn't be surprised by Rias Gremory being solely responsible for this. Or worse, her pathetic family being responsible for this. Guess I have to stop her. Sorry, Kuroka. Issei feared that he may have to kill her. He wanted Kuroka to deal with Kenneo, but now, he needed to do it, since Kuroka wouldn't be in the right mental state to deal with Kenneo. However, much to his surprise, someone stood between him and Kenneo. Issei looked surprising seeing the figure, as it was revealed to be Kuroka, as he exclaimed, "Kuroka, what are you doing here?" Kuroka looked at Issei and spoke, "Let me be the one to handle her." Issei knew that Kuroka was not in the right mental state, as he spoke in response. But Kuroka only gave a pleading look with tears in her eyes, as she pleaded, "Please." Issei could only remain silent and look away. He couldn't even imagine what she is going through. She must have been devastated seeing her sister turn into this manner. He looked at her and spoke, "Fine, but I will intervene if you can handle it." Kuroka nodded. She was glad that Issei listened to her. She knew Issei most likely would end up killing her. She wouldn't blame him for it, but she would be devastated if the only family she has left is gone. "Thank you, I see." Kuroka spoke with a gentle smile before turning to Kenneo with a cold look on her face. She was ready to deal with Kenneo, even if her will is not ready. She hoped that she wouldn't have to take her own sister's life. Kuroka looked at Kenneo, her insanity covering her expression, as she exclaimed, "Oh Ne-sama, it is quite nice to let your power consume your mind. It feels amazing." Kuroka could only shake her head. The rumor that the Gremory family spread of her being consumed by power really hurt her sister a lot. She hated the Gremory family even more, for being the sole cause of this. "No, Kenneo, that was all a lie concocted by the Gremory family so that they can gain you against me." Kenneo only got angry as she unleashed two fireballs coated with senjutsu. As Kuroka only deflected them, she then shouted, "Don't you dare say that you also abandoned me to those wolves. Ne-sama, you are equally complicit for what I had to deal with." Kuroka only looked down in shame, as she spoke in response, "You are right. I have been a terrible sister, Sairorg. I didn't come for you, 'cause I was afraid that they may use you to get to me. But not anymore, let me set things right please. Kuroka spoke with a pleading tone, as Kenneo only roared with anger and hatred. She unleashed a firestorm barrage aimed at Kuroka, who could only dodge. She didn't have the strength to bring harm to her sister now. Unlike before where she was Gremorys' slave, here matters are different. But she had to put her sister out of her misery, at least for the sake of their mother, since she may not take what Kenneo has become. Then forgive me Sairorg, I will make this as painless as possible. Kuroka spoke with a very low tone. She had no wish to strike her down, but she will have to put her out of her misery. She generated a blade using senjutsu, and aimed it at her heart. She had to finish this as quickly as possible. In the meantime, the others could only watch helplessly, as Sairorg spoke in response. How did it come to this? You don't know, Issei spoke with anger, as he continued. You don't know you caused this to happen. Issei glared at Sairorg, desiring to rip out the Satan's throat for being dense to the consequences of his own actions. He then spoke. I don't know how. Sairorg spoke with confusion, to which Kenneo spoke. How in the hell did someone like you even become a leader? You caused Kenneo's insanity to begin with. The fact that you are blind to seeing this really shows your inexperience in being a leader. She is insane because she had to deal with the bullshit you put her through. Kenneo spoke with anger and hatred for Sairorg. She already hated him for being the reason why she died to begin with, and now Kuroka's distress, someone she cared about, is in this situation. While Sairorg was angry with the comment she gave, he still failed to understand. He thought that Rias treated her well. Ingvild then responded. Do we need to spell it out for you? Your sister caused this distress to begin with, but you can't even see that she had been the reason why Kenneo became insane. Her stupidity and spoiled nature was the reason for it. Sairorg responded with anger towards Ingvild. No, my little sister won't do this. She treats her servants with love and care. There is no way she would do this, Sairorg exclaimed with anger, to which groans could be heard from Issei's peerage, including Issei minus Kuroka, who was focused on dueling Kenneo. And you wonder why Rias is so dumb and arrogant. Griselda spoke while rolling her eyes, as Zenobia responded. You got that one right. I wonder how Sona even deals with her boss. Zenobia responded as Irina agreed to Zenovia's words, as Sona speaks. A lot, and a lot of patience, Zenobia. It is a miracle she is even alive. Sona speaks with a tired sigh, knowing on how much she had to clean up after Rias's antics. Her peerage also had to agree with it. Olivia then asks, wanted to ask you something. I am pretty sure her mentality would be frowned upon in the Devils. Right then, how did she become the co-owner of Ko, since if I am correct, this territory was technically owned by the Shinto pantheon? Right? Olivia asked the question, to which Sona spoke with a frustrated sigh. I was supposed to be the only owner of Ko, but at the last minute Lord Sairorg showed up wanting Rias to be a co-owner beside me. This was due to Rias having an obsession with Japanese culture and products, and being the siscon that he is, she became a co-owner beside me. Additionally, this territory was also gained by Sairorg's actions, so he technically did have the right to put whoever he wants in charge. But the council saw me fit to be involved. But once again, Sairorg had more control due to being a super devil and had more influence back then, as opposed to today. Sona spoke, as she soon remembered the things she had to deal with after Rias became a co-owner of Ko. Tsubaki then explained from her side of the story, but in reality, Lady Sona did most of the work, while Rias took credit for both hers and Lady Sona's actions. She barely did anything. The stray devil cleanup, that usually came to me or Issei, dealing with the remaining fallen angels, that was either me or Issei that cleared that up. So basically, it was either my peerage or Issei's peerage that did most of the work, while she did barely anything. Tsubaki explained to the rest of the group, causing many to get even more angry and hateful of Rias. While Sairorg was nervous, he knew that he has been clearing up for Rias. Ajuka noticed this and knew that he had to act in dealing against Sairorg, else his faction would have more problems. He needed to speak to Falbium about this. Claire spoke in response. Worry not, Sona. I will take care of the situation while you can relax. Having a high ultimate class devil would be more helpful than a lazy high class one. Sona nodded in response, as Riser spoke. I am glad that I dodged a bullet. I should thank Issei even more for helping me break the marriage with her, and saving my family's honor. Riser spoke in response, as Claire nodded in agreement, with Sona speaking. The only good thing Rias has going for her is her beauty, which was why she was sought after. Else, she is a nightmare to work with. Sona spoke with a sigh, as Sairorg was ready to unleash power of destruction upon her. The sudden increase of magic caught everyone's attention minus the Nekashu sisters. As Sona looked in worry as she prepared to defend her peerage, as Sairorg prepared an attack for disrespecting his sister, only for two blades to be aimed at his throat, one of ice and other of holy light magic. The attackers were revealed to be Issei and Powerfull, both of whom had angered and cold looks on their faces. They were ready to make an example out of Sairorg if he ever tried anything against Sona. Make one move ahead against my sister Sairorg, see what happens. Powerfull spoke coldly, as she continued. Normally I might have defended you before and supported you when I was Lady Leviathan, but now you have crossed the line. Trying to harm my sister was the last straw, and now you have reached my patience. I won't hesitate to destroy you if you harm Sona. Powerfull spoke with anger, as Sairorg could be seen having a look of fear and anger in his face. He was terrified on what they would do to him. For once in your worthless life, Sairorg, take responsibility for what you have done. Let your foolish and stupid sister run amok, causing all these problems to come up for your faction, but no, you are nothing but a siscon thinking your sister is innocent. However, if you even lay a finger on my fiancé, I will make sure to publicly destroy you, and make an example out of you, Issei declared with anger, as Sona started to blush upon hearing this. This was the first time Issei had called her as his fiancé. Her heart was racing upon hearing this, and she wanted to speak but couldn't muster up any words due to her blush. She was happy that Issei was accepting her as his fiancé. Some of the girls were jealous hearing this, especially Claire, who never got to muster up the courage to confess to her in any manner. The boys were seeing the scene and backing with slight fear. Sairorg, on the other hand, was seething seeing on how he was being overpowered in this situation. However, he backed away and stopped using his powers. Ajuka looked at the scene and started to see his best friend being unfit for being a Satan. He needed to consult with Falbium to remove Sairorg, and would gather enough evidence against him. Back at the fight, there was a clash of Senjutsu blades and Kaneko's flames, which has been going on for a while at least. Until Kuroka overpowered Kenneo, due to her experience, as she shouted, "Nei-sama, why won't you fall?" Kenneo shouted with hatred for her sister. Kuroka was far skilled in Senjutsu and was one of Issei's original team members and can even fight alongside her team against even a god like Loki, and even stronger opponents. However, she doesn't want to fight against Kenneo in any manner. She still loves her a lot and cherished her a lot. She has no wish to strike her down, however she had to do so. She remembers her moments she had with her little sister, however brief it may be. While she was in her thoughts, Kenneo charged at her ready to strike her down, only for Kuroka to defend herself and used her blade. However, the blade went straight through her chest in the middle. Kuroka was horrified by this, as Kenneo coughed up blood. Kuroka then responded with horror and tears in her eyes, "No." Kenneo only got angry at this, as she unleashed many more Senjutsu flames. Kuroka was in too much of a daze to move out of the way. Many grew worried seeing this, as Issei shouted, "Kuroka, get out of there." Sairorg had a small smile seeing this. At least one of his enemies that ruined his reputation would go down. Issei was about to dash forward when, swish, a rope was suddenly bounded, causing Kenneo to struggle as she exclaimed, "Let go of me, damn you!" Soon a pole was unleashed that slammed in her gut, sending her flying. As she was sent flying partially in a daze, the magical rope that restrained her prevented a Nekasha like her. She struggled to even get out, as she screamed in madness and anger. Kuroka was stunned by this, with many of Issei's old members of team being surprised by this, with Issei speaking with surprise and soon happiness. "It can't be." Someone soon responded. "Kakik, guess someone's been slacking off." Kuroka and the others turned to see 4 figures standing in what seems to be a darkness platform. Kuroka recognized the voice and spoke. "Bikout can't be, and Nix Arthur Le Fay." Kuroka recognized all of the people present. The first person was Nyx, the primordial goddess of darkness. She was a very beautiful girl with flowing black hair and red eyes. She wears a deep red, floor-length gown with a high slit. The dress has a low-cut neckline and is tied at the waist. She also wears black thigh-high stockings and red high heels. The second person was Biko. He was described to be a young man with short light-colored hair, reddish-brown, brown eyes, and an athletic build. The third person was Arthur Pendragon, who was described to be a bespectacled young man with blonde hair with a strand of hair across his face, who is usually dressed in a business suit, and the fourth person was Luffy Pendragon, who was a cute, foreign girl with a slim body, shoulder-length blonde hair, and blue eyes. Her attire consists of a sorceress-like dress with a Japanese schoolgirl uniform consisting of a gray blazer with blue plaid accents over a white dress shirt with a black tie, a black skirt, and black shoes. She also wore a matching cape with pink flowers and a white interior. The four soon landed beside Kuroka, and Luffy spoke, "It's a good thing we made it on time. Locating Biko was a pain. Tell me about it. But for now, we should probably deal with your sister." Kuroka was happy to see them, but her sister's insanity took quite a toll on her well-being. She then retorted, but Arthur cuts her off and speaks, "It's better she is imprisoned so that she can get the help she needs. Keeping her imprisoned is our only choice." Arthur spoke with a sad smile, as Kuroka nodded. She looked at her sister who kept struggling and screaming with madness. Nyx then spoke, "She needs help, that Gremory horde did a number on her psyche. But aside from that, we also need to deal with them." Nyx responded as Issei and his old team members walked forward, as Issei spoke, "Guys." The four looked at them, and were ecstatic to see Issei, Fenrir, Ingvild, Kenneo and Kuroka. They soon had a group hug, with them being happy to be reunited. They all were now together, as they soon split up after a while, with Nyx speaking with happiness. "But Kenneo, you were supposed to be dead, cause of Surzex, right?" Kenneo nodded and spoke. "Issei fought a war against heaven to get me back from the dead, and we even managed to get Gabriel and make her pay for what she has done." They could see Gabriel walked forward with tears in her eyes. She didn't understand why, but she missed them, only to see expressions of disgust in their faces. They hated the traitor for being the reason why their team was destroyed. Gabriel saw their gazes and turned her face away. Issei then spoke, "Worry not, she is paying for her crimes. I thought death would be mercy for her, so that is why. She is no longer a seraph but a dragon, and the best part, she is a slave that works for us." Kuroka nodded in response. "Yep, and she is quite good and made work." Fenrir woofed, remembering that his remains were also cleaned by her. The four looked at her for a moment, and wondered what they should do with her. However, they remembered that she needs to pay for her betrayal and her being a dragon. The very thing that angels hated was punishment enough for her. However, all of a sudden, a light sword attacked the group, as Issei blocked it. The attacker was revealed to be a very angry Dulio. He then charged at Issei and Arthur blocked his attack with his sword and Dulio responded with a pole attack again. "I hope you have a good reason for attacking us, dog," Issei responded coldly, as Dulio responded, "It is because of your existence that Gabriel can never love again. I will destroy you so that she can love me." Issei's entire team knew that Dulio was obsessed with Gabriel, and it didn't take a genius to find it out. He gave a glance at Michael who was smiling knowing that he wanted Dulio and Gabriel to get together. Gabriel looked angrily at him, not wanting to be with him. A traitorous witch and a brainless dog, talk about a match made in heaven. Nyx spoke mockingly. As Gabriel lost her anger and looked down, she didn't understand why she betrayed them. "You don't love her, you are obsessed with her, you are obsessed for her beauty and her looks, that's why you will never understand what love is." Dulio only gritted his teeth in fury, as in his blind anger. He used his sacred gear Zenith Tempest to unleash a storm of abilities aimed at him, only for Issei to end this right away. Strip gear. A bright beam surrounded Dulio, as his sacred gear was being pulled from his body, causing him to screech in pain. Soon enough, a pair of wings came in Issei's hands. This was the physical form of Zenith Tempest. Issei then spoke, "Now I have your sacred gear. You are powerless to stop me in any manner." Dulio was once again frothing in fury, as Issei spoke. "Wow, once again you are frothing like a dog. Well, now you are at least powerless so you wouldn't cause any more problems to us." Dulio was even more angrier, as Issei turned to Nyx and spoke, "Could you make his fate painful? Try not to kill him." Nyx looked at him, and responded with a sadistic smile. It would be my pleasure. Nyx walked forward, unleashing a ball of darkness surrounding him. Hey, let go of me, you damned woman, Dulio shouted in anger, as Nyx had a look of disgust, and she responded, to you, its primordial goddess of darkness, dog. Nyx covered the ball as screams of pain could be heard from Dulio. Gabriel wanted to speak, but a glare from Nyx silenced her. Dulio had this coming, and no one from Issei's team had any regret. Issei and the others took a glance at Michael, who had a nervous look on his face. He was afraid of what might come. Issei smirked, seeing his state. He knew that he still had to extract information from him, and this time Uriel won't get in his way. Once Nyx was done, Dulio was barely alive. He had his clothes torn and wings ripped to pieces. He was bleeding from all locations, and was battered and bruised. His bones were broken, with even his vital bones like ribcage being broken. Being the sadistic woman Nyx is, not even his testicles were spared, with both of them being broken. Dulio was a crying mess. Nyx walked to him with a satisfied smirk on her face, and spoke. Now then, get out of my sight, and don't even think of coming near me and my team, else I have something worse planned for you. Nyx used her darkness to send Dulio to Michael, with the former being fearful of his life. He then spoke. Well, what now? Ajuka walked towards them and spoke with Powerfull and Griselda, along with Zenobia, Irina and the rest of Issei's friends following suit. Kuroka's stray status will be removed due to them being rumors. Powerfull and Griselda informed me everything about the truth, and Kuroka will be a free devil. Kuroka was happy by this, with the rest of her team being ecstatic. Ajuka then spoke with a tone of seriousness and sadness. However, with Kaneko's state, she will be kept in prison for the time being, till we can do something about her well-being. I am sorry, Kuroka. Kuroka wanted her to retort, but Powerfull spoke. Kuroka, please understand, what Gremory did to her, she needs help. And with your stray status being revoked, you can visit her anytime. Kuroka could only nod. She gave a glance at her sister, who seemed to have given up her restraints, but she could do nothing but watch. Back with Sairorg, he was seething. His team was reunited and only 3 members remain, who have been in hiding. Furthermore, his team was becoming stronger than ever with the addition of Powerfull and Griselda. They almost seemed to be unbeatable. Even Michael was not happy. Not only did Dulio lose his sacred gear and was badly injured, but Heaven was losing more and more forces, and he had to act quickly. Maybe it was time to reunite with the rest of his real allies to take them down. However, everyone's thoughts were attracted when 2 missiles were aimed at them, as Issei blocked them with a barrier. He looked at the attacker, and was surprised by who was it. No way, Heracles. The figure soon showed up to be a 2-meter-tall man with a well-built body and has shoulder-length gray hair. He wears what appears to be an attire of a Japanese school uniform. This was Heracles, one of Issei's old team members. Been a while, Issei. Been a while, Issei everyone. Heracles spoke coldly, knowing that the woman that betrayed them is still alive. Issei then spoke with slight happiness. You're alive, Heracles responded with a scoff. Yes, but I barely survived, and so is Jean, but the fact of the matter is, you still keep them alive. Heracles pointed towards Gabriel, who flinched, as Issei's hair covered his face. Gabriel could only look away in guilt and shame for what she has done, unknown on why she had done it. Kuroka then responded. It's not that, Gabriel is no longer an angel, she is a dragon. Heracles gritted his teeth in fury. He wanted Gabriel dead. He didn't care if she is being punished. Gabriel should be dead. Do you know Chow Chow, George, Perseus and Siegfried died because of this damned woman, and these damned people I won't stop till they perish, Heracles exclaimed with anger, as he directed his anger primarily to those that had his team killed, which were Michael, Gabriel and Sairorg. Issei then spoke with his face covering his hair. You think I don't care for them, Hercules? Every single day I hate what happened to them. Chow Chow was my best friend, and the only reason Serkant is alive cause I want him to really pay for what he has done. You really think that I have no love for them? Answer me. Heracles went silent. He was still angry by the fact that Issei spared them, and yet his words told a very different story, as Kenneo was the next to speak. Did you hear about how far he went to save me? Heracles looked at Kenneo surprised, as he spoke. Kenneo nodded, and responded, Yes, it's me. And let me tell you, he brought me back to live. When Issei heard that my soul is there, he did everything in his power to bring me back. He destroyed heaven and anyone that stood in his way, including one of the seraphs, Raphael. Isn't that enough for you, Heracles? Heracles remained silent, as he spoke in response. I see. In that case, I will handle things my way. Both me and Jean will make sure that they pay with death for what they did. Issei and the others were horrified, as Heracles continued. Pray we never meet again, not until you make sure that they are dead. 'Cause I have an idea on who the real mastermind is. Heracles spoke coldly, as he soon teleported out of there. Issei knew that he must have rejoined Chaos Brigade due to what must have happened to his team. Now only the final member remained, and this was Valerie Teeps. He looked at Ajuka, who seemed to be confused as Issei explained. Yep, like the ones mentioned have now joined the Chaos Brigade. Additionally, even Kateria is part of the Chaos Brigade, and they are under the Dragon God of Infinity Ophis. Apparently she is the leader. Most of the old Satan descendants are part of the Chaos Brigade, and it turns out even my team was a part of it, keyword being was. Ajuka nodded in understanding, as he had an idea on why Issei's team was so hated by the Gremory family. But upon seeing this, Nyx spoke. Lord Beelzebub, the Gremory hating Issei was not because of being a part of the Chaos Brigade. It was because his spoiled sister wanted Issei to be a part of her peerage. Naturally, he refused, and even we were against it, so that is why they set up a coordinated assault with the angels. Some of us died, and most of us got separate. It's even a miracle that we were reunited, like this. Nyx was happy being reunited with her true friends, as Ajuka nodded. He could see the team was happy being together. Ajuka spoke in response. In that case, we should probably take some rest. And Issei, if you are free, do tell us more about what really happened that day, and your relationship with the Chaos Brigade. Alright, Issei nodded as he and his team soon had a proper reunion, where they introduced them to their newer team members and friends, as they all got along together. Serzex and Michael looked at the scene with anger. They hated the fact that even Ajuka was now starting to be on their side. Michael knew he had to deal with Issei sooner or later, before he becomes an even bigger problem. If Issei comes to know that I had a hand in turning Gabriel against him, I don't know what he will do to me. I need to kill him before that, or find a way to do so. Michael knew it was Gabriel that was the key to dismantle his team, since they were a threat in his eyes that needed to be dealt with. So he did some things that would cause Gabriel to turn against him. Issei and Kuroka were heading towards the location where Issei knew that two of his associates will be. He had to find a way to locate who is responsible for his team's undoing. Kuroka then spoke. I see, are you sure of this? Issei gave a nod and spoke. Yeah, it's a risk we need to take. If we need to find out on who really is responsible for this, we have to speak with them. It took me a lot of convincing to even get them to talk. We need to make this happen, Kuroka. Kuroka nodded, and understood what this meant. She also agreed that she had to find the mastermind behind her team's destruction and stop Heracles and Jean from doing what they were doing and getting themselves killed. She knew that those two stand no chance against Serzex, or even Michael, as a matter of fact. Besides, you know that your sister's insanity was caused by the Gremory family, right? From what Ajuka plans. He did inform me that Serzex might soon lose his position as a Satan. Kuroka nodded, recounting when Ajuka had called him on a magic circle using the king piece he had given him. Since he created the evil pieces, he had several ways of finding ways to secretly communicating with others. He never used it before since there was no need, but he had to do so, since Serzex was no longer acting as a Satan but as a Siscon, and would potentially ruin the underworld. After all, desperate times call for desperate actions. Kuroka hissed and growled in anger, akin to a cat remembering the distressed state of Chiron. She hated what the Gremory had done to her sister. She vowed to make Rhea suffer an agonizing death for what she has done to not only her team but also to her sister Chiron. Issei looked at her anger, and understood what she has been going through. He pulled her in for a side hug and spoke. Worry not, that red-haired whore will get what is coming to her. Unfortunately, we can't kill her yet, otherwise her mastermind would get away scot-free and we will never find on who is really responsible for our team's collapse. Plus, we also haven't found out where their sacred gears went, else I would have known that someone has remanifested and awakened them by now. It's been years since they were killed. However, there has been no sign of them being present, Even them being inactive has not yet been present in the current hosts. Meaning? Kuroka then responded with a serious tone. Someone has to have taken them, or found a way to contain or seal them, right? Issei gave a nod and spoke. Yes, and Michael was about to tell me the mastermind. If it wasn't for Uriel, I would have come to know who is responsible for my team's state. Kuroka understood the situation. That angel is the one responsible for Michael's survival, else he would most likely be dead. It was unknown whether she knew of Michael's plan, but if she didn't, then she would be killed for getting in their way. So how much far we need to go? Issei responded, with a normal tone. Just a few more meters, that's it. Issei and Kuroka soon reached a dense forest. Once he reached the location, he spoke in response. We are here. If you are here, you can show yourself. Soon one figure comes out of the darkness, as Kuroka widens her eyes seeing him. She recognizes. Who is it? No way. Heracles. Kuroka speaks with surprise, as Heracles was the one he had contacted to find out the truth. He then spoke. So what is that you wanted to talk about? Issei nodded, as he knew that he had to make his friend see reason, since that would get him and Jean killed. He has already lost his friends before, and that is not happening again. Gremory Mansion PM. Venelana seemed to be waiting for someone, as she knew that she had to get rid of a certain someone before it is too late. You called for me, Lady Venelana. A male figure spoke in response, as she nods and gives an image and a magic ball which had a portion of the power of the true Longinus, to the figure. She then spoke. I want to make sure this person doesn't see the next sunlight. If you want, the stuff needed for this is behind the image and the magic ball. Make sure the target is silenced before problems are caused. Venelana spoke seriously, as the figure responded with a smile. Consider it done, my lady. The figure left the area, as Venelana watched him leave. A smile grows on her face knowing what is going to happen once the target is silenced. Scene change. Unknown forest PM. No way. Heracles was the one you called? Kuroka spoke, to which Issei nodded. He then spoke, turning to him. Before we begin, do you honestly believe you can take on Sairorg, Michael and all the devils that are working with them? Even with the Cow's Brigade's strength, I doubt you can take him on. And Ophis isn't interested in anything aside from taking her dimensional gap back. Heracles couldn't answer this, as he spoke. We will find a way. We have to. Chow and the others were our best friends, yet the fact that you still work under them now really pisses me off. Didn't their deaths affect you? Issei shook his head and spoke. They did. And who said I was working under them? You know how badly Heaven was affected because of what they did to our team, right? Heracles was surprised by the first question, as he spoke. That means you? Issei again shook his head and spoke. Never. I wouldn't even dare to work with them ever in my life. Sairorg is on the verge of losing his reputation, and Michael's heaven is to the point of non-recovery. Only a handful of angels and even fewer seraphs remain. Michael and Uriel remain, with Gabriel being a slave for her betrayal and Raphael dead. Heracles was surprised by this. He really wasn't aware on how badly affected Heaven was, only the fact that Issei destroyed Heaven. However, Heracles still had doubts, as he asked, then why are Michael and Sairorg along with that red-haired bitch still alive? Issei only responded with a sigh. Michael got lucky that Uriel saved his ass, but we were lucky enough to capture and enslave Gabriel for what she did to us. As for why I am not killing Sairorg and Rias, there is another reason. You see, when I exposed them, their reputation would have fallen to ruins, but someone saved them. Heracles was surprised by this revelation, as he asked, who and why is it reason enough to not kill them? Issei nodded and spoke. I don't know, but all I know is that not only is the person the mastermind behind what happened to us all those years ago, but also is the one that protecting Sairorg and Rias' standing in the underworld. The person is influential enough to do so, and worse, I have a suspect on who could be possible for this. Heracles then asked upon hearing this. Who? Issei then responded. Her name is Venelana Gremory. When I was asked to meet her again, she didn't show any concern on her daughter's well-being and instead prioritized her reputation over that. She also had this look of madness that I have never seen before, not even in Michael's, Rias's or Sairorg's eyes. Like she despised me for ruining the family's standing. It even unnerved me. Kuroka then added in response. Issei believes that Venelana is the one main suspect that was involved in our team's destruction as well. But he also is starting to believe that she is the mastermind as well. Heracles nodded. Both sides have done their own investigation, and Issei found out on who the real mastermind behind the attack. Heracles and Jean did their own intel gathering, where he found out about some very interesting things. He then spoke it out. In that case, I know for a fact on who is responsible for this. Heracles was going to speak, but all of a sudden, a blast which was blocked by Issei. He then spoke. You okay? Heracles was surprised by this, as he asked, why did you save me? Issei shook his head and spoke with a smile. You are still my friend and teammate, even when you won't see me as such, I still do. Heracles only remained silent, however, before anything could be done. Kuroka spoke in response. Guess an angel decided to track our presence, all the way here. Kuroka spoke with anger, as Issei recognized who the angel was. The angel was more precisely a winged angel that, as he spoke, well, guess that is a pleasant surprise. Never thought I'd see you here, Medatron. So how is your buddy Raphael doing? The now identified Medatron was gritting his teeth in anger, remembering what happened to him. He controlled himself as he spoke. Hi to Issei, you are collaborating with a terrorist, and you are in possession of the sacred gear that belongs to an angel. You can either surrender, or Issei cuts him off speaking. One, let me remind you, I took on 3 of the 4 great seraphs and brought them to their knees, and I tortured Michael and dared any of the angels to do something about it, and that is not even mentioning I took down heaven. Do you really think you can stop me? Cause I am not fighting alone, Issei spoke, as he readied his boosted gear, with Kuroka readying her senjutsu flames and speaking. Issei is right, both of us will fight against you. And we don't mind sending your corpse back to whoever sent you. Medatron. Heracles remained silent for a moment, before activating his sacred gear, variant detonator. He then spoke, and I am fighting alongside them. If you really think you can take the 3 of us down, then go ahead. We are ready for a fight. Medatron was hating this moment. He couldn't gain the sacred gear from him, knowing that it would be a slaughter if he fought all 3 members at once, as he soon teleported away and spoke before doing so. This is not over. Issei watched him leave, as he spoke in response. You're right, Medatron, this is not over. Issei spoke, as he turned to Heracles, who lost his sacred gear, and spoke. Very well, I am not against working alongside you, but before this, I will also reveal what me and Jean had gathered, which is our own intel. Heracles spoke, to which Issei and Kuroka were happy by this, as Issei spoke. Thank you, Heracles, others would be happy with your return. Heracles nodded in response, as he continued. Yep, I would be happy to return, but for now, it's the intel. It turns out while we were investigating, the masked mastermind as you call it, Issei hid our friend's sacred gear inside a vault. We decided to trail the mastermind for a while, but the mastermind escaped in a magic circle. We saw the symbol on the magic circle to be that of Baal. Issei thought for a moment, before turning shocked by who is the one responsible for this was. He knew Lord Baal had no issues with him since he was on good terms with the man after Issei made him see the error of his ways and deal with his arrogance. Heracles then continued. Then there's the fact that the mastermind that spoke from the mask was a female. Even her clothing was also feminine, as her features were also visible. You know what this means, right, with your suspicions of Venelana being involved and my intel. This means that Venelana was not only the mastermind behind what happened with our team, but also the one that has our friend's sacred gear. Issei remained silent upon hearing this. He was livid that the woman is responsible for his team's destruction. While Kuroka was seething knowing who was the real mastermind behind this, she vowed to destroy that woman completely. However, before anything could be spoken, someone contacted him on the magic circle, which he spoke. Yes, Issei spoke in response, to which he exclaimed. What, all right? Issei cuts off the call and Kuroka asks. I see, what happened? Kuroka's tone had concern and worry, as Issei spoke. Sairorg contacted me. The jail in Tartarus was infiltrated by someone. No alarms had been triggered. Where Sairorg was imprisoned, that is the location where the infiltration happened. Kuroka became pale in worry, having a presumption that someone must have intended to harm her sister. She had to go and rescue her sister fast. Or at least make sure she is alright. She is already insane, and she needed help. Let's go, we need to save her. Kuroka was ready to head out, but Heracles spoke, grabbing her hand. But she is part of the Gremory, she is part of why our team was destroyed. Kuroka only left his hand in force, and responded angrily. She is my sister, and it is Rias and Surzex that killed our team. If you want to come, then come, I am going whether you like it or not. Kuroka readied her teleportation circle, as Issei spoke in response, worried that Venelana might use this as a trap to kill Kuroka or worse capture her for ransom. He then spoke, I am coming, too. Issei spoke, as he walked beside her. The duo then looked at Heracles and spoke, fine, I am coming as well, but don't expect me to save her. I am only doing this to capture the assassin that was sent to infiltrate. Maybe we can get some more information on Venelana. Kuroka and Issei nodded. They understood his anger towards the family, and weren't forcing him to rescue her. They all soon teleported to the underworld prison in Tartarus. Scene change. Gremory Mansion AM. There was nothing but silence in the mansion until, slap. A loud slap was heard in the house, and the one that did that was Venelana Gremory, and the person that was aimed it towards was Surzex. She glared at Surzex for being the reason why people are turning against him. Don't you get it? Who in the hell asked you to attack Sona Citri of all people? She wasn't our enemy in any manner. Didn't I specifically ask you to keep your Siscon tendencies to yourself multiple times? Venelana shouted with anger, to which Surzex responded, but mother, she insulted Riatan, and she mocked her for being a nightmare to work with. Venelana groaned in frustration. It was not even an insult at this point like what she expected at first. She then responded, that's exactly the point, Surzex, so keep it to yourself. It's not even an insult to begin with. Saying Rias is difficult to work with is an opinion, not an insult. An insult is something aimed directly at you, intended to demean your character or well-being. Venelana hated on how her son was so easily swayed with a simple opinion. She then exclaimed, so get it through your thick skull, otherwise I won't be able to defend your reputation any longer. It's already sinking ship, and I won't be able to keep this ship afloat, Venelana exclaimed with frustration, but not before leaving and speaking. Idiot Surzex was frustrated at how things were becoming. He hated everything that he had to go through, and there was only one person he had to blame, and that was Issei Hayato. Ever since he was released, his whole reputation went down even further. He hated him. He hated what was happening to him. He wanted Issei to pay, but there was little to nothing he could do. He looked at Rias, who was recovering and would start to move from here on out, along with the Kenneo, Vala and Asia. Kiba could only watch the scene with anger and sadness. Don't worry, Riatan, we will succeed in destroying him for what he did to us. This is something I promise. You will fall, Issei, that is something I vow to do so. Scene change. Heaven AM. Michael was looking at a device that had brainwave patterns. Despite him losing his everything to Issei and almost exposing everything, he, like Surzex, believed he could find an edge against him. He looked at them with a serious expression on his face, knowing that some people's brainwave patterns can still be exploited, which are Zenobia and Irina, for instance. Only a little more, and they find out my real intentions. I must make preparations against them. Michael spoke as he walked away from the brainwave pattern device. It was fortunately hidden from Issei, and which was done so courtesy of Uriel. He left the room and soon returned back to his normal persona. He looked at his rebuilding heaven, and frowned on how wasted the efforts are. He hated on what Issei had done. Not only did he manage to take away the sacred gear and heaven system away from them, but he also destroyed the Garden of Eden, which housed the fruit of knowledge and fruit of life. The problem was that those fruits take a decade to grow and aren't easy to grow since their saplings and seeds aren't that easy to procure and became impossible to gain after the biblical god's death. The positive side was that their unique trait was that they never overripe and turn rotten, so they can be stored forever and can be consumed any time possible to gain the benefits. But now, with Issei destroying the garden, there was no way for him to recover any of them. He hated this. He hated Issei for being the reason why heaven fell. He feared Issei before, but now, he was terrified of him as well. He remembered the torture he put him through, not expecting this side of him. If it wasn't for Uriel, Issei would have come to know everything. He soon heads into a secret room, where he suddenly grows a smirk and speaks. It's a good thing Gabriel is nothing but a naive, gullible fool that can be toyed with. She trusted me with all her heart, and that was what I did. I used her trust against Issei. I used her trust to be the sole factor of destroying Issei's team. Every single day when she ate her food, I mixed a small part of a special drug that had magic, allowing me to control her daily, so that she wouldn't sense it, nor will her body do the same. When she prayed every day, I also used some vapors to do the same purpose as well, and one fine day, Gabriel came to me. Michael remembered on how he gained full control of Gabriel that day. He soon smiled happily, remembering the day when Issei broke, with a smile that would even make Lucifer shiver. Like a fool, she asked me to give the ring that prevents angels from falling, and like a good brother I gave her the ring to get intimate without falling. But there is no way I am going to let the dragon be with my sister. She deserves to be with an angel of her status. But no, she had to choose that damn dragon, and there is no way I am going to let that happen. That is why, that fateful day I mind-controlled her, and she gave me and Sairorg the location and we ambushed them. She soon did nothing like I wanted to, and we killed those that would threaten our plans. Michael soon grits his teeth in anger. Remembering what happened after that, he then shouted. But then, he came in and stole everything, disrupted the balance that I and many others have maintained, by stealing the heaven system. We can't even make more angels because of Father's death, and now, we can't even perform miracles. He will pay, no matter what happens, and I will make sure he does, Michael declared with fury, as he vowed to destroy Issei Hayadu at all costs. That dragon must be dealt with before it is too late. Like his father, the biblical god, Michael inherited his hatred for dragons from his father. Scene change. Tartarus, Underworld AM. Issei, Kuroka and Heracles were heading towards the prison, and seeing the unconscious guards, they knew that this was the assassin's doing. They soon reached the prison door, for which was meant for insane prisoners, and saw the door was opened. Look, Kuroka, the door is open, meaning whoever did this has high clearance to this place. Kuroka was pale upon seeing this. As she spoke, I see, we need to hurry. Kuroka's voice held desperation. She was afraid of her sister's state. They all headed inside, as they saw the guards that were keeping a watch of her knocked out cold. The door pertaining to Kaneko's cell was opened, and Kuroka rushed inside only to keep her hands on her mouth, and tears fell from her eyes. Issei then spoke. Kuroka, what? They rushed to see a horrifying sight. Heracles turned his gaze away, seeing what was inside. Issei looked in horror before gritting his teeth in anger at what Venelana had done. It was the dead body of Kenneo Tuja or Sairorg. Her death was itself gruesome. She had pupilless eyes, and her expression was filled with fear. With a gaping mouth, she was bleeding from her clothing. Her cheeks had stains of tears, knowing she was crying in fear. Kuroka slowly walked towards her. As she spoke, Sairorg, she lifted her hand up, and tried shaking her hand. And speaking with tears falling from her eyes, she then speaks. Sairorg, this is no time to play dead, please, wake up. Kuroka exclaimed with tears in her eyes. As Sairorg was unresponsive, she then shouted, cradling her dead body. Sairorg. Kuroka kept crying, knowing that her sister is gone. She wanted to mend things with her and restore the bond that they once had, but nothing could be done now. She was gone forever, and she wasn't going to come back. Issei and Heracles could only watch with their gazes turned away. Kaneko's death is going to haunt her forever. Even Issei watched as how Kaneko's death was in. She was terrified and was hoping for someone to save her, but nobody would come for her. She died alone, knowing there was nobody that cared for her. However, soon Issei sensed a presence. As he spoke, Heracles, the perpetrator is not far behind. We can still catch him. Heracles nodded. As they both rushed out, they saw him escaping to the lower levels of the prison, trying to make his breakthrough, but Heracles dashed forward using his sacred gear, turning himself into a walking missile, while exclaiming, "Oh no, you don't!" Heracles tackled the assassin to the ground, as he looked him in the eye. He was struggling to escape, but with Heracles' brute strength, he couldn't even move. Issei walked to him and spoke. You are going to tell us what Venelana's intentions are, right now. Why did she want Kenneo dead? You won't get anything from me. The man bit a vial lodged inside his mouth, and soon started to gag and choke. A white substance could be seen in his mouth, as Heracles shouted, "It's cyanide, Issei, act fast." Issei nodded, as he spoke. "Back away, Heracles, I will take it from here." Heracles did as he asked him to do, and Issei used a magic spell that extracted his memories, causing him to scream in pain. He managed to extract all the memories of the assassin, before he died due to poison. He then saw the memories of the assassin, and even saw something that shocked him as well. Heracles then spoke. This means, Kenneo knew Venelana's intentions, which caused her to become insane when Venelana found out about it. So when she was captured, Venelana had to eliminate her, else Kenneo would eventually spill the beans. It was like getting rid of a loose end. Issei gritted his teeth in anger, and kicked the assassin's corpse so hard that it was sent flying, as he exclaimed with fury. Of course that power-hungry Gremory would be responsible for this. Kuroka always wanted to find a way to mend her bond with her sister, and now with her gone, there's no way that would happen. That bitch wanted to hurt us and by extension Kuroka even more, knowing what her bond with Chiron is, Issei furiously exclaimed, knowing what Venelana did to them, as Heracles spoke in response. So what now? Issei spoke in response. I will take Kuroka home, and see to it that Venelana pays. I have gotten this memory, and this will expose her for the vile person she is. The assassin knows everything about Venelana, and that alone should help us destroy her. But for now, I will prioritize my team over ruining that bitch. Heracles nodded and spoke. In that case, I will speak to Jean about what happened. I will inform you as soon as possible on what needs to be done next. Heracles spoke with a normal tone, as Issei responded. Yeah, thanks Heracles. Heracles returned the smile, as the two parted ways handling their problems. Issei took Kuroka home, and managed to get her off Kaneko's dead body. Despite the happiness of being reunited with her team, it was a dark day for Kuroka. Scene change. Haida residence, AM. Claire and Riser teleported to the Haida residence. As Claire spoke, I heard the news. How is she? Penemu spoke in response. Anything but good. Kaneko's death was something none of us could see coming. She was murdered in such cold blood. She has been crying ever since she got here. Today was a day of happiness. But with what happened, there is no celebration, and it has been put to stop cause of what happened. Nyx spoke with sadness as her team agreed with it. Despite none of them having any love for Chiron or Kenneo due to her affiliation with the Gremory family, they knew Kuroka's love for her sister despite what she did. They hated what Venelana did to her. I still can't believe she would do this, to her own servant nonetheless. I thought the Gremory care for their servants. Riser spoke with anger and sadness, to which Sairorg responded. It's a charade, Riser. They do this to only support their own blood-related kin, the others. As long as you are fine with their own blood kin, then you are fine. But with Venelana, I doubt that is the case. I doubt she cares for her own family. Riser nodded in agreement, to which Sairorg continued. Now I am afraid for Sona, she might be next on the list. We need to find a way to stop Venelana before she harms anyone else. The others nodded in agreement, as Claire asked. Where is she? Ingvild responded in kind. She is inside. Issei is looking after her. And I think we should also rest. Riser, can you do us a favor? Riser nodded as Ingvild responded. Issei right now is looking after Kuroka, but soon enough, we need to take the fight to them. Can you make preparations for this? Riser nodded and spoke. Leave that to me, it will be done. I am worried that she may harm Revel, due to our connection with Issei or my peerage as well. Claire nodded in agreement. They all had to work together in order to ruin any standing against Venelana and the rest of her Gremory family. At the same time, Issei was inside the room as he heard Kuroka weeping. Her cheeks were completely tear-stained, and her kimono had blood stains on it, courtesy of her cradling Chiron's corpse. Issei. Kuroka spoke with a surprised tone. As he spoke, I am here, worry not, you are not alone. Kuroka could only look in sadness, as she kept crying. Tell me, I see. Is there no way to bring Chiron back? Issei shook his head and spoke. No, that bitch was aware I could bring her back, so she used Chow Chow's sacred gear to destroy her soul. Hence the soul-sapped eyes, or pupilless eyes. I tried to do it again even after seeing this, but to no avail. Her soul is destroyed. Issei spoke sadly, being helpless in the situation. Being a devil coupled with being a Nekashu, the holy light attack used on her, it was a death sentence for Kenneo, and Venelana intentionally used the true Longinus to make sure Kenneo is dead. Kuroka kept crying, knowing that her sister will never come back now. Any hope of her return is gone, destroyed. Issei pulled his mate for a hug, as she kept crying on his chest. She exclaimed in response. Why do they have to make us suffer in this manner? What did we do to provoke the Gremory family? Tell me, Issei, why do they want us to suffer? Issei could only remain helpless in this situation. Seeing Kuroka's state, it made him really livid at the Gremory clan to cause him and his friends so much suffering, but not anymore. He wasn't going to give them a chance to harm anyone that belonged to his team. They fear and hate us. We are a team that can easily challenge them, and we have powerful sacred gears. Or had powerful sacred gears. That is why they want us eliminated, so that not only a threat to their power is removed, but they can also gain the power that we have, our sacred gears. Venelana wants our sacred gears to gain dominance in the underworld. With her son alongside her, she wants to gain even more power, eventually extending to this entire world. She doesn't even care for her own children, and will do anything to gain more and more power. Issei spoke sadly, yet there was anger in his tone. He vowed to destroy everything that Venelana cherishes, which is her power. He not going to let her have a chance of harming anyone else, and that is something he vows. But no more. I am done watching the people around me suffer. Now that we know that Venelana is responsible for everything, it's time we destroy everything she has built. I am not holding myself back anymore. Kuroka could only look in worry as she spoke. Issei and his team were the only things she has left. Issei then spoke. I am not going anywhere. Tonight I am here for you. You can cry on me, and today I will even sleep beside you whenever you need me. I will always be there for you. Kuroka could only sniffle as she lied on his shoulder, still having tears in her eyes, with her speaking. Please don't leave me. Kuroka spoke with a pleading tone, as Issei only pulled her up and ate her on her forehead, speaking. I am not going anywhere. Kuroka, let's go to sleep. Kuroka could only nod as the couple head to the bed. Kuroka wraps her arms around Issei, clinging for the only man that she had left for support. She cradled over him and cried herself to sleep. Issei looked at her sleeping state, as he spoke in a low tone. Venelana, you have made the biggest mistake harming Kenneo, and this time, I will make sure that whatever you have built is destroyed. This is something I promise you, you will die, with no one to shed tears for your death. Issei spoke with a low tone, as he held his arms around Kuroka, making sure that he is there for her, no matter what happens. After all, Venelana will be destroyed when this is all over. The next day, Haida residence, 9 a.m. Issei woke up from his slumber. He watched Kuroka holding to him tightly. She was sniffling, crying the whole night due to what happened to Kenneo. Even if he didn't like her at all, he couldn't help but pity her, since she had to deal with Rias Gremory. Worse, Kuroka must have been having nightmares on her sister, as he could see her shaking and shivering in her sleep. She soon woke up with a jolt, exclaiming, Sairorg. Kuroka looked up, her cat-like pupils darting towards Issei, as he could only look at her solemnly. She turned her gaze away from him, knowing that her sister was gone forever. She then spoke. Issei, it's all right. I am not mad even in the slightest, what you went through yesterday. I can only imagine. I am sorry, Kuroka. If we made it a bit earlier, we would have saved her. Kuroka nodded, sniffling. She should have found a way to reach to Sairorg much earlier than before, long before she had reunited with Issei. At least she would have never turned insane. You needn't blame yourself, I see. I wished for her to be helped, but guess Gremory didn't want to keep a mouth open. That brown-haired bitch wanted to get rid of her, since she knew everything of her plans. Issei braced her closer, as he kept rubbing her head, assuring that he is beside her this whole time. Kuroka only held him tighter, afraid that she may lose him completely. After all, Issei and his team is the only people she has left. Wanted to ask, do you really believe Sairorg would change? Kuroka looked at him and responded, she is my sister. I am or was not going to give up on her until the very end. But that Gremory bitch, she made my sister insane and then killed her, since she would have revealed everything to them. Issei only looked at her and could sense the anger in her voice. He didn't blame her for this. He then spoke with a normal tone, and now we have evidence against her. Now that we do, we can finally destroy them. No more excuses, no more holding back. It is time we deal with them before they harm our teammates. Kuroka nodded and spoke, while wiping her face with one of her hands. I guess it is time. I have been waiting to tear Rias's face off for what she has done. I will certainly relish destroying her. Kuroka's voice had anger and hatred. She wanted to make Rias Gremory suffer for everything she had done to her and her family. Issei soon looked at her and ate her on her head, as he spoke. We all will, Kuroka, we all will. Kuroka gave a smile to him, however all of a sudden the door opened with Arthur speaking. Sorry for interrupting, but we have a guest and you wouldn't believe where she is from. The duo split up, as Issei asks, who is it are you talking about? She calls herself Juniper, and she is from some faction named Arcadia. Issei and Kuroka were surprised by this, as Kuroka only could speak one thing. What? Hayate residence, Ko, 9 p.m. So let me get this straight. You claim to be from a faction known as Arcadia, and you have come on Earth to meet me, Issei asked, looking at a woman who was sipping a cup of coffee. She is described as a brownish golden-haired woman, wearing a dark-colored dress. She wore a hat like a hoodie that covers her hair, and a brown belt with golden ornaments holstered around her hips. Her sleeves are also well decorated. She wears white gloves, black leggings, and golden heels. Her sleeves are also well decorated. She wears white gloves, black leggings, and golden heels. Yes, I am from that faction. To be precise, I wouldn't call it a faction, Hayate. It is much, much more than just a mere faction. It is a whole kingdom that is comprised of several factions comprised as one, to put it shortly. Issei took note of this. It took the duo a while to show up due to the incident that has happened recently. She then spoke, and from what Arthur Pendragon, he must have introduced you to who I am, right? Issei gave a nod, as Kuroka spoke. Juniper, the current Empress of Arcadia. Correct on the mark, I am the Empress and I wanted to talk to you. Juniper spoke with a smile. However, there was an ulterior motive for her to be locating Issei of all people in her universe, especially when Earth DXD was never located by Arcadia or Arcadian forces. It took at least years for them to locate Earth DXD since it was far away from Remnant. The reason, Juniper was afraid. The reason for her fear, it was because of Issei's role as either a savior or a destroyer. She didn't want Issei to become the latter since she had no intention of harming or killing him. Not to mention, Issei has several skills that can hurt if not kill her if he wanted to, one of them being penetrate. She remembered her son stating on how strong Issei could become if he is a force of good, and how terrifying he could be when he is on the side of evil. She was glad that Carmilla didn't get to him, else she knew what could have happened. The best part, Carmilla was recently dead in her timeline, killed by the Arcadians, and the reason again, was tied to Issei. Now getting to the reason for Juniper's fear and Carmilla's death, it was because of one man. He was named Lord Draken, an alternate twisted version of Issei that would have threatened and destroyed her reality if he were to ever life. Juniper knew how Draken even existed, and it was all because of her counterpart's gullibility and Carmilla's torture. 9. She wanted Carmilla alive since she still knows the existence of multiple hidden Black Arms bases, but now, after Draken's existence, and the threat he once posed if another version was created, who was as evil and destructive as the one John and his friends encountered. So it was better off to kill her, the once super-intelligent scientist of the Black Arms, than keep her alive and interrogate her, since it was pointless. They decided to find another way to locate those bases. Although Draken was dead, the fear of another one's existence haunted her. He destroyed Arcadia and their allies, and even destroyed his own world. He ravaged and wiped out entire civilizations just because they didn't accept his tyrannical rule. Worse, he tortured and tormented Arcadians just because they didn't accept his rule and preferred an arc, as well as looking down on outsiders, that being those from the Four Kingdoms. Because of him, ironically, the Arcadians have decided to opt better methods to deal with outsiders. Out of fear they may be watched by someone who decided to deal with the Arcadians who hated them for their treatment towards outsiders, even going so far as to let them know about each other's existence, despite problems being faced on both communities. Juniper and John secretly asked Jade to locate her world's Issei. They made sure only members of the 1-5 that went to Draken's world knew about this, and them locating Issei was kept a secret. And after tiring years of locating him, they finally found him. Juniper opted to go, while John handled the throne. It took her a few days to get to his planet, and Juniper decided to locate him personally, disguising herself as a regular human being, until one fateful day. She saw him walking alongside Kuroka to an unknown location. Earlier she decided to research about him from capturing some of the supernatural, and found out what this Issei had done, and was appalled by what he did. He almost destroyed heaven, and crippled the Gremory family, but upon hearing what they did, she believed that they deserved it. If anything, she was glad he didn't destroy everything, but wondered on why he didn't kill the Gremory family when they actually deserved it. So what is it that you wanted to talk about? Juniper took a deep breath and spoke. What will you do now? I heard of your exploits, and you are planning to do something big. I wanted to know if you will be a threat to Arcadia, Juniper asked with a serious tone, as Issei only responded by speaking with a neutral tone. Why would I be a threat to Arcadia? Your kingdom's problems aren't mine. As long as Arcadians don't harm me and my team, we won't have any issues. Juniper had a sigh of relief, as she knew that Issei won't be a threat if he is not a problem. Issei then spoke, and if you are wondering on what we are going to do, we are going to end our enemies once and for all, before they harm anybody else. I see. Juniper spoke while narrowing her gaze. She could see his team standing by him. She understood that his team cared for him a lot, and Issei awfully reminded her of her children to some extent. He then spoke. But Your Highness. Juniper cuts him off speaking. Please call me Juniper, and same goes for the rest of you as well. Issei and his team nodded, to which he spoke. Can we speak privately if it is alright with you? Issei looked at his team, and they didn't mind it. Juniper looked at him, and responded with a gentle smile. Sure, I am not against it. Scene change. Issei was alone with Juniper in his room, as she spoke. So what is it you wanted to talk to me about? I want to know why you are really here. I know that you wouldn't show up all the way from another planet just to meet me. People wouldn't waste their resources coming from one planet to another just to meet one person. So tell me, why are you here? Issei asked seriously, to which Juniper shrugged and responded with a normal tone. Guess you figured it out. I should have expected it. Juniper soon has a small smile with her speaking. After all, you are not the only intelligent Issei out there. Issei was on guard, as he was ready to clash with the Empress if she were to be a threat to his team. He even had his boosted gear ready to clash against her. Juniper saw his expression and knew Issei wouldn't be a challenge to her, but she had to be careful. Underestimating him would be her downfall. From what she heard, he could even beat her children and even some of the arcs due to his feats, and he is not to be underestimated. Like all Isseis, he is powerful and is not to be taken lightly. Relax, I am not your enemy. Juniper spoke with a normal tone, as he responded. How can I not be so sure of this? You wouldn't just come here just to meet me. I have no trust or faith in you. So tell me, how would you just say you are here to meet me? Juniper knew there was nothing she could do. If she had to deal with her Issei peacefully, she had to reveal the truth to him. And the complete truth, no hiding anything. I will be honest with you. How much time you have before you plan on doing what you were planning to do with the Gremory family? Cause it is a long story. Issei nodded and spoke. Well, I got all day, go on. Juniper took a deep breath and spoke. You see, the truth is, I have fear of you. Not only for this world but also for my own kingdom. I fear that you may attack us for any number of reasons that you may have. That is why I asked you, whether you would Arcadia or not. Issei was surprised by this. A woman, an alien woman that he never met before in his life, would be terrified of him. He had never thought that he would be known all the way across Remnant. Let me explain. Do you know of the multiverse? Juniper asked, to which he responded. Azazel kept speaking about it. Yeah, what of it? Juniper nodded and spoke in response. It is true, and the reason I am here is because I am afraid of one of your alternates is here to destroy Arcadia. And even I and Arcadia don't have the power to stop you. Not even you and your team would stand a chance against this man, given how strong he is. Juniper's voice had dread and fear in it. Issei wondered who this man is, and why would one of his alternates would want to destroy Arcadia and his entire life. Who is this version of me? Juniper spoke with a deep breath. His name, it's Lord Draken. He hails from a twisted dystopian alternate of our universe. He has destroyed millions of lives for just the mere fact of protesting against his rule. Even my people weren't spared from his wrath in that timeline, and my Juniper trailed off. The haunting memories and testaments of what the 1-5 including her son had to endure dealing with that man was messed up. She was appalled by what this man had done to the Arcadians just for the fact of them opposing letting those from the 4 kingdoms into Arcadia or opposing his rule, wanting an arc to rule it. Issei grew worried, wondering what his alternative had done. Sorry about that. The words of the 1-5 brought to that timeline really messed my head up. Issei nodded in response, now also growing even more concerned by this. Anyways, he tortured them on days on ends, until they broke and stopped opposing him. Those that died were shown on what happens to those that oppose him. He is a monster that we created. Issei nodded on this. A part of him feared that he might have gone down this route. The Phoenix family never found him. Drake also shuddered. What kind of person did his alternate version of his partner become? Juniper looked at him and spoke. Monster we created. He came to us for help and we didn't trust him. We betrayed him under the lies of my former husband. And then he was captured and tortured for months and no one came. And the day he broke was the day his Drake was killed by a woman named Carmilla. I see. Issei spoke in response and with worry, as he continued. And then, he took revenge in the worst way possible, by destroying your counterpart's family, and soon Arcadia. He soon turned his attention to the entire worlds and laid waste to his entire universe, ruling it in his own image, and with an iron fist. Rebels were eliminated without hesitation and even my family was murdered, all because we listened to a damned lie by my so-called husband who betrayed me and Arcadia for his selfish desire for power. Juniper's eyes were pooling up with tears remembering the shuddering memory of her children, her parents and other relatives and friends being murdered just for being close or supporting her and her family. She controlled her tears and spoke. Was his life worse than mine? Mine was no better. Issei asked, to which Juniper responded. It was far worse than what yours was, or any Issei's was before him. The people standing outside that are your friends, none of them were with him. They were either his enemies or dead courtesy of the factions. For instance, Nyx was killed by the very people that she saw as his friends. Worse, you watched them die. His life was messed up and we fanned the flames. By listening to Nicholas. Issei remained silent. He hoped that this wouldn't be known by his team, especially Nyx, given that she was lonely for a lot of her life, and Issei and her team only came for her years before their team fell apart. But that begged the question, how was he even stopped? How was he even stopped? I mean, if he caused the fall of several civilizations, how was he even defeated? Issei asked the million-dollar question, to which Juniper spoke with a deep breath. It took the combined efforts of the Big Three, which is Arcadia's strongest three, comprising of me, Willow, Schnee and Inrin, coupled with 5 Isseis from that Isseiverse to defeat him for good, and that is him alone. His army, that is another story itself. Issei shuddered. It took the combined efforts of 5 of his counterparts to actually do the trick, along with their Arcadia's strongest to kill him for good. Juniper then continued. The battle devastated an alternate Arcadia, killing millions. It was a hollow victory to say the least, but a victory nevertheless, despite nothing to gain from it. Many fell because of a tyrant's insanity who only wanted and desired to bring in death and despair in the eyes of millions, no trillions. It was just like the Ark Civil War, started because of my damned husband who I thought would love me, but only wanted power. Regardless, it's all in the past, and his actions, in a way, showed us the error of our ways and we decided to become better. Issei looked at her and nodded. He wondered what this Ark Civil War was, as he asked. So what is this Ark Civil War? Juniper shook her head and spoke. That's a story for another day, but to put it in short, my husband gathered many individuals and factions, some including my family, to turn against me, my family and the rest of Arcadia. It was a bloody war that lasted almost years and took the lives of innocent millions of people. Fortunately, we won and all of the leaders are finally dead. There are still cells and remnant, but that's it, nothing more, nothing less. Juniper spoke with a smile, as Issei nodded, glad that nothing happened. Issei then spoke in response. Should I tell the others? Juniper nodded and spoke. It's your choice, you can tell. Issei nodded as he was about to step out, when he saw his entire team along with Gabriel being present surprising him. He then spoke. This means you've heard everything, didn't you? None responded, shuddering on what their counterparts had done, or in Nyx's case her death. Issei sighed and spoke. Come inside, we should talk about this. Scene change. There was silence in the group, with Juniper explaining even more stuff on Draken's origin and how things became as bad as before. As Arthur spoke in response, I never thought the multiverse existed, let alone evil counterparts that existed to harm Issei. Yep, tell me about it. Even I am stunned by what my counterpart did to Issei. Kenneo spoke sadly, as she held Issei's hand, assuring him that she would side with him no matter what happens. Issei looked at her with a surprised look as Kenneo gave a smile to him. It's messed up, Naya. It was a miracle he didn't break when they killed Nyx. I would have broken when Chiron was in the same state. Nyx nodded in agreement. She was horrified to hear her counterpart was killed by the very same people she could call friends and family. She was happy that Issei was by her side, and couldn't even imagine what would have gone through in his head when he watched her life slowly fade away. She vowed to never let her Issei go through what happened to Draken. Guys, what happened with Draken shouldn't happen again. To anyone, that gives us even more reason to stop the Gremory family, 'cause they will only cause problem to us. Sairorg was responsible for Nyx's death, and I am not letting that happen to anyone else ever again. Issei spoke seriously as the group agreed with this, with Kuroka speaking first. You are right, Issei. I have lost Chiron. She is still my sister despite her actions of supporting that family, and I am not losing the only family I have left. Kuroka spoke seriously, to which Ingvild added, We lost once, we won't lose again. Venelana won't take any more of our team again for her selfish gains. Ingvild spoke seriously, to which the rest of her team nodded, with Bikos speaking in response. If anything, this gives us reason enough to actually deal with them once and for all. What do you guys say? They all cheering in agreement, with Juniper being the only one being silent, having a smile on her face. She was reminded seeing her son and his team and on how loyal they are to each other, akin to a family. So what is our plan? The one who spoke was Sairorg, as she continued. We expose her. What are we going to do? Like, what is our plan? How are we going to achieve her downfall? Issei looked at her and spoke. Here is what we are going to do. Issei used the system and brought out a projection map. As he spoke, we are going to set up televisions or magical portals, devices and everything in different locations across the underworld. Lucifad, Lucifer City, Hades, everywhere. We are going to cloak them with magic that is of angelic origin, such that the devils won't be able to detect them in any manner. Once the television is set up, I will project the memories that I was able to gain from the assassin onto the screen, Issei explained, as everyone nodded to this minus Juniper was seeing what Issei is going to plan. Issei then continued, the assassin pretty much gave us the memory that we need to ruin her standing. Their standing was already bad enough in the eyes of the public thanks to their earlier actions, but this memory would ruin everything that they have built. Everyone would hate the Gremory and would want their expulsion, plus with the Juka wanting Sairorg out of the Satan position, this would be even more perfect since the Juka will have proof to throw out Sairorg. The group nodded upon this, as he then spoke. Sairorg, contact Sona and Claire, it's time to set up the plan. We need to act as quickly as possible. Then, our next plan is to eliminate Michael. The sooner we get rid of him, the better, before we head to our final confrontation, which is the Gremory clan. Issei spoke seriously, to which the group nodded. Gabriel was silent, knowing that Issei wouldn't listen to her. Even if she pleads to not eliminate Michael, he has made up his mind. But something is telling her that Michael deserves this. Issei then looked at Juniper and spoke. You should head back to your ship. This shouldn't be of any concern to you, and worry not. I would not go after Arcadia, 'cause I have people around here. Juniper nodded, but she soon turned her gaze away, having a slight look of an embarrassment on it, with a smile as well. That wouldn't be a problem if it wasn't for my ship, kind of. While Issei and his group looked at her as Ingvild asked, what happened to your ship? Juniper looked at them and spoke. It was kind of damaged due to a Black Arm's sudden attack, which I was able to deal with, and my ship didn't have any repair parts left. I did use them before and it wasn't enough, so I am kind of stranded here. Issei and his team looked at her, as they watched the Empress of Arcadia rub her head, in embarrassment. Issei only looked at her and had one thing to say. How in the hell did you become the Empress of Arcadia? Juniper only retorted with sadness and exclaimed, That's cruel, Issei. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi. Issei meeting his counterparts for the first time. Underworld PM. Issei was standing beside Claire and Riser. They had already set up the televisions and had coated them with angelic magic to prevent them from identifying the location. Soon enough, Claire spoke. So shall we begin? Yes, I have already told my team to stay near every location in disguise, so that if Venelana or her batch of allies do causes any problem, they can act or call in support. Even Heracles and Jean have agreed to assist us in this. Claire nodded, as she gave a glance to Riser, who nodded. He then walked to the button and pressed activate. In just a minute, everything was in full display, with everyone watching the video. All of Venelana's actions were in full display, horrifying and shocking the people of the underworld. Many were horrified that one of the dignified women in underworld is the scum of the earth. In the meantime, Venelana was watching this with horror and anger, as she exclaimed, "That bastard, how did he get access to my assassin's memories?" She looked at Zeocidus, who was looking at the screen with fear, as she exclaimed, "Zeocidus, find a way to stop the viewings. I have sent them, they will take time to show up." Venelana in response only grabbed him by the coat and responded with anger and fury. "Do it now, that brat is going to ruin my reputation completely. And I am not going to let that happen. Send them now." Zeocidus could only respond with a nod, as he acted quickly and fearfully, as all the while Venelana could only watch with anger and horror. Zeocidus left the room and sent people to destroy those television screens, who teleported to the locations, and they attacked the televisions. Back with Issei, he was getting texts from his team that Venelana has sent her allies to them. As Issei spoke his command, "Intercept them, kill them, show them no mercy. Show her what happens when you test our patience and push us to our limits." "Okay," the team responded with unison as they all did what they were asked to do so, as they all started to destroy the soldiers with ease and no problems. Issei then looked at the screen and decided to end it all. "It's time." Issei walked forward and decided to address a message to all of the Gremory family, as the viewing soon changed to Venelana extracting the gears from the bodies of his deceased friends, and showing them publicly. He soon decided to speak up. "Venelana Gremory, I know you are watching, and let me tell you, this is the beginning of your downfall. I promise you one thing, you won't have any peace starting from today. Your actions will be known to the public from here on out, and this includes all of your collaborators as well. And soon we will strike. You may never know when. It may be right now, it may be today, or it may be tomorrow, it may even be a few days later. But it will happen, and I am certainly going to see to it that you pay for your actions. For now, enjoy the aftermath of your downfall of your reputation," Issei declared on his microphone as everyone heard of it. However, Issei's intention is to reach a select destination, knowing that this speech would make its round around the Gremory family. And speaking of the Gremory family, Rias and her peerage were terrified of what Issei had done. With Vala seething in anger, he would make Issei pay for his actions. Serzex and his family were pale by what Issei did, and so was Zeocidus. Now his chances of being a Satan is as good as gone. Zeocidus was also in the same boat as well. Worse is that his men and soldiers were returning as corpses. The only one furious was Venelana aside from Vala, who was clenching her fists in anger, to the point of bleeding. Her teeth was gritting to the point of shattering, as she released a powerful burst of destruction aura in her anger. She then shouted with anger, "So that is how you want to play? I will make sure that everything you have cherished is destroyed right in front of your eyes. This is something I promise," Venelana shouted. Heading inside the room where the sacred gears are kept, it was time to fight fire with fire, and she was going to use the sacred gears to become more powerful than ever. Little does she know, she has triggered her first mistake of her downfall. Issei and company knew that they had done their first step of operation, which was to ruin the Gremory's reputation in the public. As in the aftermath, several things happened. First was Serzex's removal as a Satan Lucifer by both Ajuka and Falbium, both not wanting to be pawns of Venelana Gremory, and with Serzex being her son and by extension slave, much to his anger. They warned him that if he tried anything, Ajuka and Falbium along with their supporters will all work together to defeat him, something that he couldn't beat, and if things go south, Ajuka would even call Issei to assist him, and although he may not come to help, if he does, Serzex was screwed. Second was many of the Gremory's territory devils moving away from the place, not wanting to be near someone that would sacrifice them for power. They hated their former rulers now, desiring to be away from them. Those that did, were still loyal to them, primarily their maids and soldiers. And finally, the Rias and her peerage. They were pale by what they were witnessing and what Issei said. They were terrified on what he would do to them, minus Vala, who wanted his death even more, with Albion encouraging it to happen. All in all, a chaotic battle is going to begin. Back with Issei, he looked at his team and spoke. "The first phase of our plan is complete. Now our second part of our plan, we will take down what remains of heaven. There is barely anything left, so it would be best if we end it right now." The team members didn't deny this, as Arthur asked, "Are we doing this today, right now?" Issei nodded and spoke, "Yes, we are. Unless you all have other plans for today, the sooner we eliminate Michael, the better. Although I am concerned about one thing. Issei turned to Zenobia and Irina, and spoke. The two of you will need to head outside for the plan. The word surprised the two, as Zenobia responded surprisingly, and with slight anger. But why do we need to go outside? Issei looked at her, as Irina continued. Do you not trust your childhood friend Issei-kun? Issei looked at the two and gave a deep breath. Even Griselda was confused by this, wondering why Issei wanted them to go outside, to which Issei spoke with a deep breath. Michael will come to know if we are planning anything against him, using Zenobia and Irina. The duo were surprised by this, with everyone being even more stunned by this revelation that Issei had made everyone hear through. Zenobia and Irina were outside with Griselda, as they were horrified on Michael having brainwave access to their body and can trigger them to kill them. Griselda was calming the duo down, while seething in fury at the thought of using her wards against them. They already lost Kenneo, but no more people. Issei came outside and spoke. Alright, listen. I will tell the plan later on. Griselda, stay with the two till then. Alright, Griselda nodded in response. She was glad that Issei was helping and protecting them, as she spoke. But I fear that he may. Issei came closer and kept his finger on her lips, with him speaking. Worry not, he won't take another one from us. I have lost many friends and family because of them, but not anymore, you can count on that. Griselda nodded, having a red tint on her face due to Issei's declaration. She turned her gaze away, as Issei spoke in response. I will inform the plan later on. For now, forget everything I have said. This goes for you too, Zenobia, Irina. The two girls nodded, looking at their guardian who didn't meet their gaze. It was clear that she has feelings for him, but was afraid to act on them, since she was worried that Issei may reject her. She then spoke. I won't let anything happen to you, worry not. Griselda hugged both Zenobia and Irina sideways, assuring them that they are going to be alright. The two girls nodded. They were angered that they could be used as pawns against their own friends and family. Back with Issei, he had gone inside, as Nyx asked, how did you know about Michael's brainwave machine? It was simple actually. Michael never got rid of the ace card that belonged to Zenobia. It was still kept in Gabriel's former office. Maybe it was his arrogance or overconfidence that caused him to not get rid of it. But the card was still inside the office. It was recording several things, including the brainwave patterns, as well as current state of heaven. It's a good thing that he did speak about several things to his subordinates, primarily his loyal dog Dulio. Issei explained, to which Nyx nodded in understanding, as Heracles asked. So who all are going? Issei looked at him and spoke. All of us, my team's old and new members both are going. We all are going to show Michael what our team is capable of. There's barely anyone left, so most of y'all are going to basically clean up heaven and destroy it from ground up. I and Fenrir along with Griselda will head there and deal with Michael personally. The rest will deal with Dulio. In other words, it will be everyone against him, minus the three I mentioned. The group nodded in response. As Issei continued, then, we strike at Michael. I wanted to extract some more information from him, but he got lucky. Fenrir, this time don't let Uriel interfere with any spell. Rip her wings if you have to, but don't let her try anything. Fenrir barked in happiness. They all agreed that tonight would be the day the heaven falls completely. Scene change. Issei was preparing for the final battle, as he soon noticed Gabriel walking to him, as he asked bluntly, what do you want? Are you really going to wipe out the entire heaven? Issei looked at her and spoke. Is that even a question? Issei spoke, continuing in response. Michael is equally complicit, and if the other angels get in our way, which they will do so, knowing them, they are going to get purged. At this point, you should know of my hatred for them. You of all people, were equally complicit in this, remember. Issei spoke, turning away from her, as she exclaimed in response. Wait! Issei turned around, as she retorted. You are planning to kill so many innocent angels. I understand, Michael, but why them haven't you killed enough? Issei only shook his head, seeing the hypocrisy in her words. He had an idea that Gabriel fails to realize the consequences of her actions, even to this point. Issei still hates her for what her hand in his team's demise and fall. No, heaven needs to fall. God is dead, and it is best to let the past die. Heaven has no reason of continuing. Gabriel remained silent, she could sense the hatred and anger in his voice. She then spoke, trying to convince him in hopes of changing his mind. Even then, what will happen? There are still billions of people that still pray to the god. Any and all hope for miracles will be gone. Issei only chuckled at this, as he gave a glance to her, causing her to flinch in response. He then spoke. There is no need for heaven any longer, with Michael around. He is God's biggest mistake, and needs to be corrected. It is best he is gone, permanently. I am done being patient with them, and if any angels stand in the way, they will be wiped out, like moths to a flame. And you will be fighting against them. Gabriel was stunned and horrified by this, as she retorted in denial. She didn't want blood to be stained on her hands which belonged to her own kin, but Issei cuts her off, speaking. You will fight, I can force you to comply, just like I did a few weeks back. So what's it going to be? Gabriel. Issei spoke coldly, as Gabriel could shudder in fear remembering the pain she had to endure when she was enslaved by him. The rook piece was still inside her, and he can control her if he wanted to. Tears were falling from her eyes, knowing what is going to happen, as Issei spoke while turning away. You and Michael should have thought of this before stabbing me in the back and killing my friends and family. After all, you know what they say, the devil was also once an angel. Gabriel flinched upon the saying. She was horrified that her supposed betrayal caused Issei to change this much. She never understood why she betrayed him, to this day. But now, she had realized that her actions will cause the fall of her former faction. All her brothers and sisters would be slaughtered by Issei and his team, whom she knew had become far stronger than the initial team, since Griselda, Sairorg, and even his friends joining in. Tears were falling from her face, knowing full well that her whole kin were going to get slaughtered tonight. Back with Issei, he was outside the room, preparing for the battle. Juniper watched him leave. She was wearing a casual dress skirt with leggings. She looked at him leaving, wondering his anger and animosity towards Gabriel. She went inside to speak to Gabriel, wanting answers on what happened between them. Juniper looked at her, as the former seraphs turned her gaze and wiped her tears, and spoke. Juniper, what are you doing here? We need to talk, on what caused your betrayal towards Issei to begin with. Gabriel nodded in response, as they decided to discuss on what really happened. Tell me, what happened with the betrayal, like what caused Issei to have so much hatred for him? Gabriel took a deep breath and spoke. Truth be told, I don't know why I did or what I did it for. I just betrayed him and remained still for a while, and the next thing I know, he is captured. I asked Lord Michael for his ring, so I can get intimate with him, and the next thing I hear, he has been captured by Sairorg. I asked Michael on the full details, and he told me that he attacked heaven in anger. He went drunk on power and killed many angels, even took the heaven system along with the sacred gear system for himself. Juniper narrowed her gaze. She could see several flaws in Michael's statement. Even Draken was not that drunk on power, at least not until his fall from grace. And she knew that this Issei was not like that, else he wouldn't have so many friends, with some being his lovers. But that's a lie, isn't it? Gabriel shook her head and spoke. I don't know, my mind is fuzzy about it. I really don't know what happened properly, only what others have told me what I did. I don't know why and how I did, but all I know is that I did betray him, and I just don't know what caused me to betray someone I promised to love and look after. Gabriel could only speak with sorrows, as Juniper noted this down to be classic memory alteration spell. But that begged the question, what and why did Michael do this, and if not Michael, who could do this? I see. Well, all we know is that Issei sees you to be the betrayer, and so do the rest of his team. I mean, I don't think this was manipulation, all have seen what you did. Maybe you were just a scapegoat. Juniper spoke with an analytic tone, noting very few similarities between her situation and Draken's situation. She could be a pawn of someone else, and a possibility could be Venelana, but he highly doubted that Gabriel would be her pawn, since she believed that Sairorg, Rias, and the rest of the Gremory family could be her pawn. Juniper noted Venelana to be similar to Nicholas, just the difference being is that she could be a product of the misdeeds that the underworld generated against her, causing her to become power-hungry and show utter disregard for her family. Just the thought of her former husband made her seethe in anger internally. She was glad that he was gone forever, and had no regrets killing for him. Good. Perhaps I am, I don't know, I really don't know. Gabriel spoke sadly, and with desperation. Juniper could only remain silent, not knowing what to say. She then spoke. I understand, maybe as time passes his anger will calm down, and then you can speak with him. I believe with his enemy's death, you should have a chance, and I think it is only going to last a few days. Juniper spoke with a normal tone. She knew that Issei was going to mobilize and taking down any threats to his family and friends. He already acted on Venelana and now he is going to go after Michael next. Gabriel could only nod, knowing what is going to happen next. Soon enough, the Gremory family will be next and there is no telling what is going to happen next. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi. Issei wondering if he can catch an agent with a pokeball. Outside Heaven, Vatican, 8 p.m. Issei was with his team, as they all begin the preparations for Heaven's invasion. Ingvild then spoke, everything is set. When can we begin? Issei responded with a normal tone. Right now, Griselda, Fenrir with me. Rest of you try to gain as much attention as you want. Proceed towards Michael's office. If they interfere, kill them. The team nodded. However, before they could move on, a voice called them out. Issei turned around to see none other than Jean, the final member of his team, come in. Jean was described to be a beautiful young foreign woman with blonde hair and sky blue eyes. She wears a girl Gakurin, with armor worn on top of it. The group turned around to see Jean, as they all greeted the final member of the group, with hugs, as Jean spoke. So this is it, we are really going to end this. Yes, Jean. And I am glad you actually listened to me this time. Jean shook her head and spoke. It's no problem. I presumed that you wouldn't do anything for Chow Chow and those that have fallen by the hands of the bastards. Issei understood her anger, and could see why she didn't want to join him at first. He then spoke. Not really, I was waiting for the right time, and now it is. We know that Venelana was the one that truly pushed for our team's demise, for an attempt to gain our team's sacred gears. She failed to get all of ours, but she did get those that have been killed by Serzex and Michael. Jean nodded, as she looked forward to the destruction of Heaven by the hands of her and the rest of her team. Let's strike now, it's time we burn Heaven to the ground, like it always should have been. The team minus Gabriel cheered in response, as they exclaimed. Yeah, they all rushed forward, starting their attack upon Heaven, destroying anyone that stood in their way. Scene change. 6th Heaven, 9 p.m. Michael was in his office, trying to figure out a plan against Issei and his allies, when all of a sudden, the alarm started to blare in response. As Michael exclaimed, Are we under attack? Uriel suddenly burst inside the room, fear etched on her face as Michael asked, Uriel, what happened? We are under attack, and the attacker is Uriel is cut off by a sudden booming voice, as it spoke. That would be me, Mikey. I have returned from our last meetup. The magic circle revealed to be Issei Hayadu, Griselda Quarta and Fenrir. Michael and Uriel was seething, as Uriel shouted, You again decided to show yourself here, you filthy dragon, begone from this place. Uriel had a card in her hand, as she was about to throw it, sending him away. Michael was ready for a clash, as Issei only commanded, Fenrir, deal with her, but don't kill her. Fenrir lunged at her, tackling her to the ground. He forced her away from Issei, as Griselda looked at him with anger in her eyes towards Michael. As the duo got ready for the fight, Fenrir kept distracting her, as she shouted, You damned dog. She unleashed multiple light halos towards him, as Fenrir avoided everything. She couldn't even use her forced teleportation card to send Issei away due to Fenrir, as he kept dodging her attacks. Soon he dashed forward and with a quick bite, crunch, Fenrir managed to bite onto Uriel, causing her to scream in pain, as she unleashed holy flames onto Fenrir, who grunted in pain, forcing him to release him. He soon shook his body, dousing the flames completely. He lunged again, trying to attack her again, as Uriel responded with holy flames as she shouted, You will regret that, you damned god-slaying dog. I will make you pay for what you have done to my hand. Fenrir kept gracefully dodging the attacks, leaping around the battlefield, as Uriel kept on using her holy flames. Fenrir was quick to dodge them, as he soon used the magic circle enhanced speed up. He dashed forward, taking the holy flames like it was nothing, and chomped on her second hand. No, Uriel tried to heal herself, but Fenrir was not going to let that happen, as he quickly used his strength to RIPP. Fenrir ripped her hand off, causing her to scream in pain. Fenrir spat out the hand, as he looked at the seraph with total coldness, as she looked at him with Fenrir. He then lunged at her, and bit her at the stomach, causing her to scream even louder in pain. Uriel was on the ground. She was bleeding from the abdomen, and the hand that was ripped off. She was crying in pain and terror, knowing that she was going to meet the same fate as Raphael did at the hands of the gods slaying wolf. Issei has already killed Raphael and brought heaven to ruin twice. And now, this time, the ruin is going to be permanent. In the meantime, Griselda was looking at Michael with anger in his eyes, as she exclaimed, "You have some nerve of trying to go after my wards, you will pay for it." "I doubt it," Michael responded with a smirk, deciding to release his full power, to which Issei only raised his hands and spoke. "I hereby declare Michael to no longer be an archangel." Suddenly he started to lose his powers. He couldn't feel his archangel powers or even his magic powers. Michael looked in horror, as Issei spoke. "Well, Mikey, did you forget that I actually still have the sacred gear system?" Michael was now fearful and powerless, as Issei had a predatory grin with him speaking. Let's continue where we last left off. Both Griselda and Issei decided to torture Michael for more information on what he wanted to know. Screams of the former archangel were echoing throughout the room, while Uriel could only watch with terror at how much the duo are torturing Michael. Scene change. Second heaven, 9 p.m. Outside the sixth heaven, where Michael was being tortured for his actions. The others were laying waste to the forces of heaven. Gabriel was forced to take down her own kin, as she had tears in her eyes. Many were pleading for their lives, but they were all slaughtered like lambs. Jean was laying waste using her blade blacksmith, as thousands of holy swords were being unleashed upon them. This was followed by both Arthur and Biko killing anyone that dared come near them, with Arthur using his Caliban and Biko using his pole to do so. Kenneo was up in the air, throwing barrage of light spears at them, wiping out and shredding through several of them like it was butter. She smirked in response, seeing their helpless state, knowing that they did the same to her as well. Kuroka was also not alone, using her poison field to take down low-level angels, as she leaped in the air using her flames to purge the more stronger ones. Ingvild was unleashing storms of tidal waves at them, wiping out several angels like it was nothing. She then spoke. "I am in the clear, Nyx, they are all yours." Nyx smirked sadistically as she unleashed a blanket of darkness that completely surrounded the location. She then commanded several darkness tendrils to wrap around the angels' limbs and destroy them completely, ripping them apart, causing many to scream. "Le Fay, clear up the trash," Nyx exclaimed, to which Le Fay nodded. She unleashed flame magic to wipe out the angels that were limbless. They screamed in pain while this happened. Sairorg closed her hands and quickly unleashed a pulse of cold energy. The angels tried to rush against her in an attempt to kill her. She then threw the pulse which froze any angels that came into contact into thick ice sculptures. Even the field surrounding her was completely changed to ice. This was her signature move, cross Celsius trigger. Guess this it for you. Sairorg walked towards one and flicked her fingers, destroying the angel into pieces. She unleashed a small gale wind which broke the ice sculptures to pieces, taking them all out at once. However, soon a light spear was thrown towards her, which was frozen upon impact. The group looked up to see Dulio, who was seething in anger knowing who the attacker was. "Well, what have we here? A dog trying to save his brothers, amusing." Kenneo spoke mockingly, to which Dulio shouted, "I swear on Lord Michael and God's name I will destroy all of you, and take Gabriel as my lover. That is my promise." The group shook their heads in annoyance, as they looked at Gabriel, who was not meeting their gaze. They saw Dulio dashing towards them with his wings, as Sairorg once again closed her hands and quickly unleashed a pulse of cold energy. She then threw the pulse which froze Dulio that came into contact into thick ice sculptures except his head. Even the field surrounding her was completely changed to ice. Ingvild spoke with a normal tone, seeing on how easy it was to deal with Dulio now. "This isn't even fair. Without his sacred gear, he is not even a problem." Dulio was seething at Ingvild, who had said that, as Nyx walked forward. When she did, Dulio's expression had complete terror, knowing what this woman had done to him earlier. "Well, I am glad you remember me." Nyx spoke with a sadistic smirk. "Let's have a little chit-chat, shall we?" Dulio's screams were heard, as all of the team members minus Gabriel took their turns punishing the dog that had blindly supported Michael. They knew that he would do anything to separate them again, and that was not something they are going to let it happen. Scene change. Sixth heaven, 9 p.m. Michael was on the ground bleeding, battered and bruised. His ribs were wide open, and there were light swords everywhere in his body, lodged in several locations aside from his vitals. His clothes were torn and he had even lost an eye. His ribs in the back were open, akin to a blood eagle, as Issei spoke. Now you are going to tell me everything on what you have done. Else we can just repeat the torture. Michael looked at Issei with fear and spoke. And no, please, I will speak. With that, Michael reveals everything to Issei, which horrified all of them, including Uriel. Issei was the most affected by this. The amount of pain he inflicted on her was too much. He thought she betrayed him, but all this time, it was Michael's manipulations that did the trick. Seeing his pained expression, Michael spoke with a slight smile. If he cannot beat him, he was certainly going to hurt him in another way. You see, why you tormented her for so long, and yet, she took the pain. You must be feeling so proud of yourself. Don't you? Issei remained unresponsive as Griselda, who was saddened and angered by what Michael had done, kept her hand on Issei as she spoke. Issei. Issei remained silent, as Michael only looked at him with a grin, as he spoke. I wanted to see that expression of yours. If I can't kill you, then I will destroy the things you cherish the most. Michael started to laugh with insanity. Losing any sanity he had was long gone. Upon hearing his laugh, Issei decided to end his pathetic existence right now. He only spoke 2 words, burner. Soon flames surrounded Michael, as he screamed in pain. Issei made the flames slow and steadily as he kept on burning. Issei prolonged his suffering by making sure the flames burned through his skin and flesh slowly and steadily. Michael watched in fear, seeing his cold expression. You should be ashamed of even calling yourself an angel. No, you don't deserve the rank of angel or archangel. You deserve to burn in the darkest depths of hell for your treachery. You are a pathetic, lowly being, undeserving of anything. No love, no happiness, no relationship. You should have killed yourself the day you were born and give somebody else that piece of oxygen that you consumed on a daily basis. Now say hi to Daddy dearest for me. Michael only could scream. As Issei released him, he kept on screaming as the flames slowly was consuming him alive. Uriel could only watch in horror and anguish, knowing that she was the last surviving angel left, knowing that the others would have wiped out the rest of heaven. He dropped him away, letting him burn alive, as he walked away sighing sadly. He didn't know what to do with Gabriel. He needed to set things right with her. But before that, he had to deal with one final problem. Issei turned to Uriel and spoke. You are now going to be my slave, for the rest of your pathetic existence, Uriel. Uriel could only look at him with fear, not saying anything as he dashed forward and knocked her out cold. He then looked at Griselda and Fenrir and responded, Let's go and regroup. Then we bomb this place and destroy it. Completely. The duo nodded with Fenrir barking in response. He picked up Uriel like a sack of potatoes and left from there. There they reunited with the rest of the team, as they set up explosives to destroy heaven. They soon left the place, as the explosives were triggered, causing the fall of heaven. Michael, while being burnt, watched the heaven that he had maintained, that his father had once built, crumble to dust by the very same dragons that had a hand in killing his father. He could only watch helplessly as the flames consumed the last of his life and eventually his soul, leaving nothing behind. High at a residence, PM. Issei was alone in his room, with his new prize, and that was Uriel, who was the last angel. As he spoke, make sure she doesn't escape. I need to do something. He left the room, as Kenneo was going to follow him, but Griselda stopped him, as she shook her head, and spoke. This is something he needs to do on his own. We can't help him. We might end up making matters worse. Kenneo nodded, as the team remembered on how Gabriel was mind-controlled by Michael, causing their team's downfall to begin with. They all had some level of guilt for what they did to her, as she was nothing but a scapegoat for a power-hungry and racist man who wanted to make Issei suffer for no apparent reason. He got karma, with not even his soul surviving. Dulio also met a similar fate by the hands of his team. It was fitting that a dog like him got what he deserved. To top it all off, Nyx even threw a dog biscuit on his face before his deathbed, which was angered by him even more. Issei was outside, as he headed to Gabriel's room, which was more or less her supposed prison. He was going to head inside, but he felt hesitation knowing the harsh words she would say to him. He almost decided to back away, speaking, I think I should come tomorrow. Issei was about to leave, as someone soon called him out, speaking, Are you really going to not do it today? The later you do it, the worse you may make things, Issei. Issei turned to Juniper, who had called onto him. She walked towards him and continued, I spoke to her, and after hearing your side of the situation, I had a feeling that something was off with her. But I think it would be best if you set things right. Issei looked at her, and didn't know what to do. He wanted to set things right with her. But he was afraid that she may never see it through and will always remain in fear of him. Juniper looked at his doubtful expression, and spoke, adding even more will. Go and speak to her, she always wanted to explain herself. And now you have the chance, don't let it go to waste and make her suffer any longer, set things right with her. Issei looked at her for a moment and spoke, you are right, I should go and talk to her. She knew I wouldn't listen to her due to my hatred for what her pantheon did to my team. But she was innocent, and it was that bastard Michael that wanted my team destroyed. And now, he has lost everything, even heaven has fallen. It's time I set things right and head inside to speak to her. Issei headed inside, as Juniper watched with a smile, wondering how the meeting between the two would go. Once he headed inside, Issei could see her dusting some of the shelves. He felt sad that an innocent had to suffer through what she did. He was not going to let her suffer anymore, as he called out. Gabriel. Gabriel flinched, making a cue deep. She turned around to see Issei had come to her room. She then spoke, the room hasn't been cleaned. I don't think it would be wise for you to enter. Issei only took a deep breath and spoke with a normal tone, we need to talk. Gabriel could only nod. There was nothing much she could do to deny it. Heaven has already fallen since many had joined Michael, and they would constantly harass and attack Issei and his family to the point they were dead, and as much as she hated it, a part of her believed that this was bound to happen. Under Michael, heaven was destined to fall, either by his own hands, or by someone else's hands. Ever since the biblical God passed away, Michael has taken reins into everything, and there was no telling on what he did behind everyone's back. Issei decided to tell her everything, on what Michael had done. He had revealed everything to her, and she was horrified to hear his actions. She knew Michael wasn't approving of their relationship at first, but she trusted him, hence she told him. However, while she believed that over time he would change, that was not the case. He only showed a charade of accepting Issei, while always hating him. I am sorry, Issei. I trusted him with all my heart. I thought he really liked and cared for you. I am sorry, I never. Gabriel was cut off by Issei, as he spoke with an even saddened tone. No, I should be the one to apologize. I caused you so much pain by my presumption that you betrayed and destroyed my team, and yet here you were, trying to pay for the sins of what the angels did. I should be the one that apologized for what I did. I am sorry for everything I did to you. My anger was misplaced and the wrong victim suffered the crimes. I need to set things right with you. First, I will remove the curse I set on you. Issei used a magic circle, but Gabriel stopped him, by holding his hand, speaking, and shaking her head. No, Issei, let me keep my curse. I deserve it. Issei shakes his head, and speaks, I insist, you are the only true good seraph heaven has left. I don't wish to make you suffer any longer. Gabriel looked at him for a moment, and spoke, but I don't want to go. I don't want to be someone that you hate. Issei looked at her for a moment. He knew what she meant. She didn't want to be someone that was affiliated with Michael, not anymore. Issei knew Uriel would hate him more than anything else and would still support Michael regardless of what she did. Gabriel wouldn't do so. However, he knew a promise that she made once. Gabriel, do you remember saying that you wished to be my guardian angel once? Gabriel flinched upon hearing this. She did remember the promise that she made to him once, and she would have fulfilled that promise had it not been for Michael ruining his life alongside the rest of heaven. He looked at her, as he asked, so you remember, don't you? Gabriel gave a nod to Issei, as she spoke. I do, but you really want a traitor like me to become your guardian angel? Someone else would take advantage of me once again, just like Michael did. Gabriel spoke with sadness, to which Issei responded with a normal tone. Michael took advantage of your trust and faith, and you knew him more than you knew any of us. It felt like a family member stabbing you in the back and showing a charade that he cared for you, when in reality he wanted me dead for being someone that would eventually surpass and destroy the heaven system. He knew that he could harm me by using you, since we all trusted you a lot. That is why he did what he did, which was infuse a drug in your food and drink so that he could control you. He told me everything and boasted on how he expected you to be the one to take major blame. But I made sure that everything he built and desired was destroyed, while he watched in agony. He won't betray you again, cause his soul ceases to exist. Gabriel nodded, remembering Issei telling about him burning his soul to oblivion such that even in the afterlife, he won't exist. Issei then asked once again, "So Gabriel, do you wish to start over the bond that we once have?" Gabriel looked at him for a moment, as she once again asked with doubt, "You mean it?" "I do." Issei spoke without hesitation, as Gabriel held his hands and was crying. She was finally once again accepted into their team. Issei could only remain silent. He wanted to embrace her, but he wasn't sure if she would accept it, since a part of her was clearly afraid of him. After a while, the duo stopped as Issei spoke. "I will remove most your curse, allowing you to still use draconic flames to some extent, but worry not. You will be part of our team. I am not going to leave you anywhere. Instead, I plan on transferring it to Uriel, make her suffer for joining Michael." Gabriel nodded in response, understanding that Uriel would suffer the same punishment she did. Unlike Gabriel, who was a pawn, she was complicit in the betrayal. What she did cannot be forgiven or undone. She had to pay for her crimes. Scene change. Issei and Gabriel had joined the rest of the team, with their team also apologizing to her for their treatment, with the former seraph responding that she never held hatred towards them, only guilt for her actions, which she was mind-controlled to do so. In the meantime, Issei managed to remove majority of the curse from Gabriel, and transferred into a ball. He then used his free hand to wake Uriel up, with him speaking, "Wakey, wakey." Uriel groaned in pain, as she looked at her enemies who now have her as a prisoner. She was fearing the worst, but soon her gaze turned to Gabriel, which made her angry, as she shouted with fury and with tears in her eyes, "You damned traitor, you joined this filthy dragon and serve him instead of serving our father. You should be ashamed of." Uriel was unable to complete, when Gabriel landed a blow to her face, causing her to stagger, as she exclaimed, "Jayahaha, it is Michael and his angels that have betrayed father, and why? Cause he hated dragons. He always taught us to not let our hatred to get the better of us, and to not let it control us. Not to mention, Michael only wanted to gain more power like the Gremory, but he failed to do so. He got what was coming for him. Father always wanted to preach and spread love, but you all twisted his message and memory for your own goals. It is you that are traitors, not me. I followed what my heart always wanted and what it sees. But Michael, he used my trust to harm those that I saw once as family, and I will never forgive him or all of you for that." Gabriel exclaimed with anger and fury, causing Uriel to glare at her with a look of murder, as Issei walked towards her and spoke with a tone of coldness. "So you see dragonkind as filthy, don't you?" Uriel retorted with anger in her eyes. "I do, and all of you should be purged." The girls that loved Issei wanted to put Uriel in her place, but Issei spoke in response, "I see. Then suffer the punishment that Gabriel once did. You will no longer remain a seraph, but you will become a dragon, just like what she had to go through because of being framed for it." Uriel saw the orb and Issei started to unleash the curse upon her. "No, stay away, keep that thing. I will never be a dragon." No, Uriel screamed in fear and begged for Issei to keep the orb away, but Issei ignored her. Issei unleashed the curse upon her, causing her to get consumed by the curse. Her wings come out and are ripped from their roots. She screamed in pain due to this. But that didn't compare to what would happen next. Like Gabriel before, Uriel's body started to contort and transform, causing her to scream in pain. 2 wings started to grow from her back. They were ripping through her angelic skin, as she started to cry, hoping for the pain to stop. Soon enough, the wings were crystal clear. They were draconic wings. All the while she kept screaming. Scales were starting to appear on her legs, as her toenails were changing to that of dragon's talons. Same thing was appearing on her hand, as her fingers were changing into claws. After a while, some scales were growing on her body and face as well, which was painful to her. Uriel was transforming into a dragon. Tears were falling from her eyes, due to the pain and defilement. She was no longer a seraph but a dragon, the very same beings she despised with all of her heart. "Gabriel, do me a favor, teach her on what she has to do. We are going to need a good servant that will serve us for all eternity to pay for her crimes." Gabriel gave a nod, having a small flinch upon seeing Uriel's state, being reminded of the pain she went through due to being framed for something she didn't do. She and the rest left Uriel, who could only scream in agony and anguish knowing she became the very thing she and her father despised with all of her heart. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by a red-haired woman traveling to this world via a wormhole. The next day, Gremory Estate, Underworld, 9 a.m. The final battle had commenced, with the Gremory family being on guard. Venelana had absorbed all of the sacred gears into her being and sent the Gremory peerage, her husband and Surzex and his peerage, while Milikas was inside his room being guarded by several soldiers. They were afraid of being overwhelmed by them. Venelana had a backup plan, and she knew when to use it. A smirk forms on her face knowing she will win yet again, no matter what happens. Issei will lose permanently this time, and once he is gone, she will gain all of their sacred gears and rule the supernatural world with an iron fist. Issei looked at his team who had joined him. As he spoke, I will make it a little shot. Today is the day we end this. Venelana thinks she has the upper hand, taking the sacred gears that belong to our loved ones and used it for her own gain. But not anymore. It's time we destroy all those that want to harm us. We won't let her harm anyone else. She has destroyed our friends and family, but never again. It's time we destroy her and make sure no one will have what we did. The team agreed to this by nodding. Both new and old members agreed to this as they all got ready for their final battle against the Gremory family. It was time to end the battle once and for all. Soon explosions rained on the Gremory estate, with the Devil Commander announcing, "The Red Dragon Emperor and his team are here. We need to." The commander was unable to complete the sentence, when a darkness tendril went through his head, killing him instantly. The attacker was revealed to be Nyx. As she spoke, Ingvild, "Finish these soldiers." Off Ingvild nodded, unleashing a whirlpool of water which completely consumed them without any problems. They were trying their luck trying to swim and use their wings, but the currents were too strong. The duo of girls knew what they were trying to do. Le Fay, and this Le Fay gave a nod, as she exclaimed, unleashing a bolt of lightning using a special magic circle which was yellow in color. "Take this!" Le Fay unleashed the magical lightning towards the water, causing them to screech in pain. As she continued, "Lightning and water don't mix. That is basic level knowledge. I guess some idiots don't listen and still try their luck swimming." Le Fay spoke mockingly as the electricity completely destroyed them. Ingvild then spoke. "You can't help it. Many devils are arrogant, thinking they are untouchable, but once you put them in their places, they are no better than cowards. Let's get a move on." Le Fay and Nyx nodded, taking down as many soldiers as they could, eliminating them with ease. Nyx then lunged forward and raised her hands, unleashing a mist of darkness that covered the entire surroundings, stopping several more soldiers in their advance. "What is this?" Nyx responded while cackling. "My eternal darkness. Being the primordial goddess of night, I can manipulate darkness similar to my brother Erebus. Once you enter this, there is no escape now." Nyx unleashed several beams of darkness towards the soldiers, causing them to keep screaming in pain. Some tried to defend using magic circles, but it was to no avail. The beams of darkness emitting from the sky and surroundings taking hits from all directions, making them harder to avoid. As the final hit struck them in their vitals, killing them without any mercy. All the while Nyx had a sadistic smile on her face, enjoying their fates. "The place is clear. Let's move ahead," Nyx declared to her friends, as the two moved ahead without any problem, dealing with any soldiers that came across. This time there was no mercy or forgiveness to deal with them. In another location, Arthur, Biko, and Gabriel were wiping out their own set of devils. Arthur decapitated 2 devils with his Caliban, who fell like flies, as Gabriel unleashed her own light spears on them, killing them instantly. "It's a good thing that you have once again become one of us. It's time we set our team complete," Arthur spoke with a smile, as Gabriel nodded and spoke. "Why yeah, I missed the team dynamic we had once. It is good it has come back. Kiki, and it is not only that, isn't it?" Biko exclaimed, vaulting another soldier away as Gabriel turned her gaze away with a slight blush. She wasn't sure if Issei would want to be in a relationship, not until he gets rid of them. She doesn't want to be used as a pawn for harming Issei. Never again. "Biko, now is not the time to make jokes like that. Focus on the battle now." Biko gave a nod, as he defeats many more devils that got in their way. Using his pole, he took out multiple of them like it was nothing. Once they were gathered in one place, Biko spoke. "Gabriel, do your thing." Gabriel gave a nod, as she brought out a small orb of concentrated holy magic. Soon a huge white light explosion wiping out the devils like it was nothing, completely decimating them and any surroundings that there is. Both Arthur and Biko had to cover their eyesight to not become blind. With the return of most of her angelic power, she can unleash her most powerful spell, Holy Nova, which can wipe out entire battalions of medium Satan and ultimate class devils. Gabriel had a smile on her face, as she looked at the duo, and spoke, "We should get a move on. We need to clear the path for Issei, knowing they will go for the main family." In the main compound, Issei and his peerage were clashing against the Gremory family, which comprised of Issei and Sairorg against Vala, Kenneo and Kuroka against Rias, Griselda against Udokiba, and Fenrir against the Kenneo. All in all, Rias and her peerage were struggling to fight against Issei and his peerage. Vala was on his knees, as he soon turned to Issei and Sairorg, as he cursed with all of his heart, "Damn you, damn both of you, Issei, you took away Sairorg from me, and now, Vala shouted in pain, as Sairorg aimed an icicle at his chest, causing him to screech in pain. She then spoke, "Even now, you are delusional enough to believe that Vala Lucifer Issei never tried anything inappropriate with me despite me being his servant, and let me tell you, I am happy to be with someone who appreciates me for who I am. You should have left me alone, instead of trying to take me away from you." Vala glared at Issei with hatred, as Issei only brought out Excalibur Blessing and stabbed him the stomach, making him grit his teeth in pain, and soon scream. He looked at his rival, who was soon going to be his last rival. He remembered speaking to Drake internally, with the two coming to an agreement that Albion won't stop till he keeps finding hosts to hunt him down for destroying his life, when it was him and Tiamat that had betrayed him. That is why Issei decided to destroy the gear that Albion was in, and eventually his soul, since his soul is comparatively weaker than his original body in his prime, and even in his prime Albion couldn't beat Drake, hence he cheated. I gave you many chances to clean up your act, but I guess Albion must have really gave you the delusion of beating me one day, which is never going to come. Keeping you alive is more of a problem to us. Vala was gritting his teeth to the point of bleeding, as he soon pulled his sword up, killing him instantly, by slicing his head in half. Vala's corpse soon fell down, as Issei muttered, "Sorry RageRevan, had to kill your grandkid." Issei spoke with a sigh, as he looked at the divine dividing, as Albion cursed with all of its heart. "I am going to make sure you regret what you have done one day, cause one day I will find a host so powerful that you will never be able to beat him. I will keep doing this till I find a way to permanently kill the two of you." Issei only grabbed the divine dividing before it could pass on to another host, as Drake spoke. "You see, Albion, you constantly have continued to use your hosts to come after mine. First you ruined my life, and then you used your hosts to ruin my hosts' lives, including killing some of their family members, but not anymore. We both have come to a decision of ending our rivalry permanently." Issei nodded, as Drake soon continued in response, "Do it, partner. End his pathetic life." Issei started to crush the divine dividing. He managed to nab it using the sacred gear system and heaven system which he obtained from heaven, as Albion kept screaming in pain, terror and agony. It felt like his soul was being completely ripped apart. "No, I can't die like this. I won't die like this. I am the dragon of supremacy, damn you." Albion kept screaming and cursing in pain, as Issei spoke with a cold declaration. "No, Albion, your time is up. You will only be a problem, and I won't let you go and enrage anyone else against me and my friends. Good riddance. I will make sure you never return." Albion kept screeching in pain, as Issei was crushing his soul and the divine dividing, completely making him scream even more. He soon was crushed and wiped out into nothingness, leaving nothing. Not even his soul survived. Albion was dead, and so was Vala. One of their strongest members had fallen. Soon the rest were to follow. Vala's death was seen by everyone, as Rias and what remained of her peerage looked in fear. Kenneo was the next to follow. She was then ambushed by Fenrir, who chomped on Kenneo's abdomen and ripped her in half before she could react. Fenrir soon dropped the torso on a horrified Kenneo, who had a look of fear before she could end up dying. Griselda was quick to attack Udo, who could barely survive, as she spoke, "So Knight, still want to get Issei for the Excalibur?" Kiba was about to respond, as she responded, "No, I know that you are going to say yes. So don't bother wasting your energy. It is time to end this, once and for all." White prism/Griselda's wings came out as she unleashed 3 slashes in a diagonal manner, as it formed a prism. She soon unleashed it onto Udokiba, who could only scream in pain. Her wings soon started to flap, as she flew forward and quickly unleashed a white magic slash comprised of holy magic, acclaiming, Dragonic Angel Thrust. Griselda immediately sliced off Udokiba's head, which evaporated into holy magic. Kiba's torso soon fell to the ground, as Griselda prepared her blade. Another of the Gremory peerage had fallen to the ground, and soon the rest would follow. Griselda was joined by Sairorg, Issei and Fenrir, who were all looking at Kuroka and Kenneo torturing Rias, which would soon end her life completely. At another location, Jean and Heracles were taking down their own batch of soldiers, as Jean unleashed a barrage of holy swords made from her blade blacksmith, as they were all taken down without much effort. With soon, Heracles unleashed 2 missiles at the soldiers, causing massive explosions. The explosions broke off the rubble which toppled on the soldiers. Heracles then dashed forward and tackled 2 of the soldiers in the air, and aimed his variant detonator blasters at them, and with a quick trigger, boom, Heracles exploded the missiles point blank, completely devouring the soldiers. As Jean spoke, I hope that Issei and his peerage have gotten to Rias, and her peerage, and Surzek, and his peerage as well. Jean spoke with hope as Heracles responded, they must have by now. Let's reunite and clear up the rest of the soldiers. Heracles responded, to which Jean nodded. They soon headed towards the location where the soldiers were falling like flies due to the combined assault of Issei and his team members, since both new and old are attacking them without any mercy. Back with the Gremory peerage, only Rias was left standing, as she looked at the ones that destroyed her peerage with fear, as she spoke. No, stay away from me, stay away from me. Why, you monsters! Issei and the old members of his team looked at her with no empathy, as she unleashed her power of destruction without any planning, as Issei deflected it. Rias was completely broken. She had multiple claw marks on her face and body, with even her clothing being torn. She had multiple light spears lodged in several locations which involve her privates, and other locations like legs and many other locations. Look at this bitch thinking she can get away from what she has done. Kenneo spoke with spite, to which Kuroka responded, tell me about it. She is going to pay for what she did to Sairorg. Kuroka unleashed senjutsu flames in anger, causing her to scream in pain. She was barely alive, with even her skin being charred. But before they could continue, Rias started to gasp for air. What's going on? Rias struggled for air, as she looked at Issei and his peerage with a look of horror and terror. While Issei and his team were confused on why she was gasping for air, he then asked, Kuroka, did you? Kuroka shook her head in confusion, as her answers were also given to them, when someone spoke in response. You served your purpose well. Now it is time for you to do what you were meant to always do. Become one with your mother. Everyone recognized the voice to be that of Venelana's as they got on guard. However, soon screams were heard which belonged to Rias Gremory, where they all turned their attention to her, as Issei understood that she was absorbing her power. He then exclaimed, quick, before she absorbs her power. Kenneo nodded, as she unleashed a light spear, killing Rias immediately without any mercy, as Issei soon used a powerful light magic to vaporize her completely, all the while Rias kept screaming and crying in pain. Before the magic completely consumed her, leaving nothing behind. No, Venelana's voice boomed with fury, as Issei looked at it with a smirk, with her speaking. You're going to regret this. I will make sure that you do. Issei Issei only scoffed and spoke. Keep dreaming, you brown-haired cunt. We are coming for you. No matter where you are, you better be ready, Issei declared, pointing to the air, as his team nodded in agreement. They all kept proceeding ahead, to see a huge door that reminisced that of medieval era. Soon the door was opened by Issei and Fenrir, revealing a shocking thing. It was what remained of the Gremory family minus Milikas. This comprised of Surzek, Graphia and Ziacidus, who were all ready for combat. Venelana was also there, but she was attached to what seemed to be a machine, and was ready for absorption of power. There were wires attached to different veins of her body, making her immobile. Issei then spoke. Wow, guess the craze for power has driven you to do this. Seems like you and your lineage of family is known to be power-hungry. Venelana had a laughter which compromised of madness and borderline insanity, as she cackled in response. You have only delayed the inevitable. I can still absorb her powers, It will only take some more time, and this time, I will destroy you. Ha 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 ha. Venelana started laughing like a madwoman, as she even unnerved the rest of her family members. Issei and the others scowled, as Sairorg shook his head and spoke. Issei Haidu, you may have ruined our family, but we will come out on the top just like we did last time. Issei and the others got ready for their fight, as they all were ready to clash for their final bout. But before they could do, a huge explosion erupted from the roof, as Issei and the others backed away before anyone could get hit, while Sairorg, Graphia and Zeocidus defended Venelana and protected her with a barrier surrounding her and themselves. Once the dust was settled, the attacker was revealed to be a dragon that had deep golden scales. It was a majestic dragon that had started to descend upon them. Who the hell are you? Venelana shouted with anger, seeing that another dragon is here. Who the hell are you? Venelana shouted with anger, seeing that another dragon is here. She hated the dragon kind even more, as the figure spoke with a booming voice. I see, you are even using your own children to increase your own power. You really are no different from Nicholas. Issei and his friends recognized the voice, as Issei spoke in response. Juniper, the now dragon, identified as Juniper, descended down, as she spoke. Yep, it's me, Juniper announced, as she returned back to her human form, with her turning to the team with a smile, before turning to the Gremory family with a look of coldness on her face, while speaking. The funny thing is that, you still believe that you have a chance against all of us. If you have any proper brain cells left, Venelana Gremory, it would be wise for you to surrender all the sacred gears that you have stolen, Juniper declared. As Venelana was seething in fury, another person decided to attack them, with Sairorg trying to contact his peerage, but getting no response. He has a look of horror and fear, as Graphia asks. Sairorg-sama, what happened? Sairorg looked in response and spoke. I tried contacting my peerage, no one is responding. Juniper had a smirk and a sadistic grin, remembering that she and the Phoenix family members, primarily Revel, Riser and Claire, assisted her in eliminating them. Oh, that would be mine and Riser, Revel and Claire's doing. They were all killed by all four of us, and for me, they were barely an inconvenience. The look of horror on the four last Gremory clan's members' faces were horrific, as they hated the situation even more. Issei was about to speak, but Juniper responded. No, Issei, I don't mind joining the battle, and besides, Juniper cracked her knuckles and spoke with a smirk. I would like a good old battle. I don't mind getting my hands dirty. Juniper joined the group, as they all looked ready to fight against the group, ready to end the Gremory clan once and for all. However, before anything else could happen, a wormhole suddenly opened up, as they all turned their attention to it. A wormhole? Juniper muttered in surprise as Issei asked. You know these things? Juniper nodded and spoke. That is how interdimensional travels happen. You all know what I am speaking about, right? The ones in Issei's team nodded in agreement. However, soon a figure stepped out from the wormhole, shocking everyone completely. She was a woman with long, vibrant red hair styled with loose strands framing her face. Her hair cascades down her back, adding a striking contrast to her outfit. She has piercing blue eyes, giving her an intense and focused expression. The character is dressed in a sleek, form-fitting black armored suit, with intricate details suggesting both strength and agility. The armor has protective plating around the chest, shoulders, and arms, along with a high collar. She wears black gloves and a utility belt around her waist, with red accents, including a long cape-like feature. Issei had only one thing to say on what he was seeing, as he spoke. What in the actual? Issei had only one thing to say on what he was seeing, as he spoke. What in the actual? Everyone was absolutely stunned by what they were seeing. Juniper wondered on who this Rias was. Was it her variation from Arcadia, who is a shadow? She looked at Issei with tears in her eyes, while everyone else was confused on who it was. She controlled her tears, as someone called her out, snapping her out of her daze. Rias, my precious little girl, have you returned to fight for me? I am glad you did. Rias snapped out of her tears and was internally seething. If there is one thing this Rias hated, it was her very own family. No, she detested her very own family. Sairorg was the next to speak. Riatan, it's so good to see you again. Will you fight by our side? Rias was seemingly emotionless, but in reality she was furious. If it was one thing she hated, it was being part of the Gremory family. She would never want to fight by their side. Never again, That was what costed her very peerage and those she called friends, and finally the one she had a crush on. Issei and his team along with Juniper got ready for a fight, as Rias pulled out a gun from her arsenal and before anyone could react. Bam! Rias fired her gun at Venelana's hand, causing her to screech in pain, as much to the shock of everyone, as Zeocetus exclaimed, "Venelana, Rias, what have you done? Working with you, Zeocetus, I'd rather take my own life than become a part of this damned accursed family. For years you have tried to abuse my life, shaping my life into something you always wanted. I was made to be your perfect heir, and you wouldn't hesitate to whip me to get me to comply. I would be damned if I ever join your god-forsaken family again. Oh wait, you devils are like that, especially you Venelana Bale," Rias declared, pointing her gun, as she walked beside Issei and his team, who were all surprised. While Juniper was looking at her wondering which timeline this Rias was from, since she knew that she didn't belong to any of the worlds in the Isseiverse that she was familiar with, including her TH world. This meant she was from a different world entirely. You all controlled everything, like how I act, what I do, my hobbies. You all never allowed her to be her own person. Even other devils assume me to have the same role and put a lot of pressure on me to act like the perfect daughter of Gremory House. Even my friendship with Sona Citri was forced so that you could gain more influence and power in the Gremory family. And when I had friends, which was my peerage, you stripped that away from me by giving me to Riser to again increase your own influence. This is why I hate the two of you the most, Venelana Bale and Zeocetus Gremory, and you were no better. Surzex Gremory and Graphia Lucifuge, you sat on the sidelines, and when I fought back, you tried to destroy me, failing miserably, Rias declared with anger and hatred towards her family, stunning them. However, soon their stun was replaced by anger and fury for Zeocetus and Venelana, while despair for Graphia and Surzex. Venelana shouted with fury and anger, "You damned traitor, you would turn against your own family. I will make sure you regret it." Rias only scoffed, before having a grin on her face, and speaking, "That is what my Zeocetus and Venelana said to me, before I ripped their spines and heads from their faces, and burned their souls into the darkest depths of hell. Since that is where you belong." The Gremory matriarch and patriarch were seething in fury, as Issei was surprised to see an alternate version of Rias that utterly hates her own family for her abuse in the past. Even the others were surprised, including Sairorg, who was surprised that she was forced to befriend Sona to increase their influence. Rias turned to Issei and spoke, "I am in for fighting together. Let's end this once and for all. I don't want their existence to tarnish this world as well." Issei and the others seemed to agree, having no choice, as he spoke. "Very well, Rias." Rias gave a smile, as the two sides got ready for the fight that would decide the fate of the supernatural world. The Gremory family were really on the edge now. Their chances of winning are getting slimmer by the second, as Issei spoke in response, "Everyone, let's end this. Split into 3 or 2 people and we can all beat them with ease." They all nodded, with Issei and Juniper going after Surzex, Sairorg, Penemu and Griselda going after Graphia, and finally Fenrir, Rias and Kuroka against Zeocetus. Surzex got ready, entering his true form, releasing power of destruction everywhere. He was not holding back, as he declared with anger, "Come at me, all of you, I will take you all down." The duo that are dealing with Surzex were also going to not hold back, as Juniper spoke in response, "Well, since he is asking for it nicely, we might as show what we are capable of." Juniper closed her eyes, and soon a bright light consumed her. She entered into her armor, which is black and gold. The design of it is very angular and spiky, with a black and red cape to go with it. She is armed with a spear. Issei soon followed it up, with his new balance breaker, using the Heavens system. The armor is primarily white and gold with intricate detailing and sharp angles. It appears to have a metallic sheen, suggesting it's made of a strong, advanced material. The armor is adorned with a pointed helmet, chest plates, and gauntlets, and the legs are covered in segmented plating, all of which contribute to its imposing and formidable appearance. This was true celestial dragon drive. Issei's signature transformation that makes him on par with Lord Shiva. The duo got ready for their clash as they rushed forward. As Issei spoke, "You know, he is the physical embodiment of destruction." The duo got ready for their clash as they rushed forward. As Issei spoke, "You know, he is the physical embodiment of destruction. If you do touch him, you will get disintegrated. Don't worry, I know what I need to do. I have learned several tips from your counterparts. They have beaten and even killed their Surzex, so worry not. I know how to handle him. Juniper used the spell such that only Issei hears what she has to say to him and not Surzex. Issei gave a nod, to which Juniper dashed forward and deflected the lightning-like destruction that was heading her way using her spear, as Issei jabbed forward and used Excalibur Blessing to strike him in the stomach, which did pierce some of the destruction but not enough. Nice try, but you will never beat me. And Juniper followed it up with a spear stab using Holy Light magic, causing him to grunt in pain. For someone that has years of experience, you certainly lack the proper combat ability and often gloat around thinking they are invincible, but in reality, you can be beaten by several ways. This is one of them. Juniper and Issei looked at each other, as Issei unleashed a powerful holy magic spell surrounding Surzex, as Juniper also joining and using her own holy magic. Surzex only stood there taking the hits like a complete champ, as he cackled and responded, "You really think that is going to hurt me? I am invincible in this form." Juniper looked at Issei and spoke. "You know what you have to do, right?" Issei gave a nod, as the boosted gear announced, "Penetrate." The holy light magic pierced through Surzex's defenses, causing him to screech in pain. As soon a massive explosion took its place, as Issei and Juniper looked at the scene. The battle was far from over. They knew it to be true, and they could see Surzex flipping his wings in the battlefield. Despite him being injured, he was still able to maintain his true destruction form. However, this time, there were scars and damages in his invincible true destruction form. Surzex then declared, "I took you guys for granted, but not anymore. This time, I am not holding back anymore." In the meantime, Grafia was struggling against the combined trio of Sairorg, Kenneo and Griselda, with Griselda striking Grafia in the stomach, making her screech in pain due to the holy sword. Grafia tried to use ice magic, to which Sairorg responded with using her own ice magic, overpowering Grafia as she spoke. "You do realize that I was a former Satan and I overpowered you before, right?" Grafia was gritting her teeth in annoyance, as Kenneo responded by throwing many light spear at her, causing her to struggle and block the attacks. She was on the edge and there was little to nothing she could do against them. Grafia soon followed it by using a stronger ice beam towards Sairorg, as she responded by using her own beam. Sairorg then spoke, "Kenneo, on my signal throw several spears on her." "Got it," Sairorg responded, as the beams kept clashing. "Soon enough," Sairorg exclaimed. Now, from behind her Sairorg responded, as Kenneo teleported in response, and with Griselda joining and used their holy attacks at them, with Griselda exclaiming, "White prism!" Griselda's wings came out as she unleashed 3 slashes in a diagonal manner, as it formed a prism. She soon unleashed it onto Grafia, with Kenneo following her with her light spears, forcing Grafia to take on both the attacks point blank. The end result was an explosion. When the dust settled, it revealed a battered and bruised Grafia with some of her clothing torn completely. However, despite this, she was still able to stand and continue fighting. At another location, Ziacidas struggled to keep up against Fenrir, Rias and Kuroka. Rias used her horse to dash forward, ready to tackle Ziacidas down. Her horse kept galloping, intimidating Ziacidas, who used elemental magic to avoid the attacks. The horse dashed forward as Ziacidas was able to escape to a different location, only to be ambushed by Fenrir, who chomped him, as Ziacidas kept teleporting around, avoiding getting hit by the attacks. Rias then explained, "The Gremorys' signature ability is teleportation. They can immediately teleport over short distances in just an instant. The longer the distance, the longer the teleportation time it takes. However, it doesn't take magic." Ziacidas was cursing this Rias. Not only his Rias is dead, but an alternate traitorous version was trying to take them down, piece by piece. "Understood, thanks, other Rias." Rias gave a smile to Kuroka, who spoke, as she responded, "Let's take this asshole of a father down." Rias dashed forward using the sword in her hand. It was a broadsword with had a black dragon-like hilt in it. She commanded her horse to attack Ziacidas, who tried to dodge, which he succeeded, but Fenrir chomped on his hand and ripped it off from him. Ziacidas looked at his hands, as Kuroka followed it up with her flames and poison mist, with Ziacidas once again teleported, but soon he was suddenly shot in his gut. He held his stomach in pain. The attacker was revealed to be Rias, who was holding a gun in her hand. She then spoke, "That is what you deserve, father." Venelana was watching all of them struggle, as she gritted her teeth in frustration. She had to get rid of Issei at the very least, and soon, while watching Juniper and Issei confront against Sairorg, she saw the position to be perfect. As she spoke, "This is perfect." Venelana used the device to start controlling Sairorg since she had his blood in him. Sairorg then exclaimed in response, "Mother, what are you doing?" Sairorg was struggling to avoid getting under his control, as Venelana spoke from the machine, as she responded, "Doing something that you should have done a long time ago, killing that filthy dragon before he becomes a problem." Venelana forcefully controlled Sairorg, and started to generate a powerful spell that comprised of dragon-slaying magic. He soon inserted that magic into a dagger, which Issei sensed, and due to the close range, however, Issei failed to dodge. Sairorg tried to resist by speaking, "But Mother, Grafia is also in range. It is going to hit her too, and I am not going to harm her." Venelana grew frustrated as she responded, "You will do as I command. Now you are just a pawn in my command, and if you don't do as you are told, I have other ways of forcing you." Venelana forced Sairorg to throw the dagger towards Issei regardless of whether Grafia was in the way or not. Issei was still unable to dodge, as he glared at Venelana for killing her own family if it means to get rid of him. Juniper acted quickly and pushed Issei out of the way, as the dagger went flying towards an unknown location and stab. Someone got stabbed, as many grew worried with some like Kenneo and Kuroka rushing to Issei, as Kuroka exclaims with worry, "Issei, are you?" "I am fine, Juniper. What about?" Juniper cuts him off and speaks, "The dagger didn't get me." Issei soon asked in response, "Then who did it?" Issei soon heard groans, and so did the others, as they all turned around to see that the dagger had struck Grafia in the chest. She coughed up blood and spoke in response. Sairorg saw Grafia was starting to lose her consciousness. It turns out that Issei and Grafia were in the same line as the dagger's trajectory, and when Juniper got Issei out of the way, it directly struck her, as Sairorg dashed forward exclaiming, "Fih-chan!" Sairorg returned back to his normal form, with everyone looking at this, stopping their fighting, as she responded, "It's not why your Grafia." Coughed up blood, as the dagger was inside her heart, and soon it would kill her as well, as she continued, "All I wanted was to serve my husband and see care for my sons, but I guess the family that I serve with so much loyalty wouldn't hesitate for my death." Grafia responded while crying, as Sairorg didn't say, tears falling from his eyes. The fact that he blindly listened to his mother costed him everything, including his sister, and now, his wife. That bitches, she used us, to gain more power. She would do anything for power. Please take Milikas out of here. So that she doesn't get him. Sairorg gave a tearful nod, as she spoke her final words, "I love you, Sairorg." "Why yeah, I love you too, Grafia." Grafia soon closed her eyes, breathing her last, dying in the hands of her lover. Sairorg was seething in anger. He placed Grafia's corpse on the ground gently, while shouting, "Mother, no, Venelana, bail. I am done serving you for your goals of complete domination. My sister and wife are dead because I blindly listened to you, but not anymore. I will stop at nothing to protect my son against someone like you." Venelana only laughed at her son's betrayal. It didn't matter since she already had a plan to deal with Sairorg if he doesn't comply with what she wants. She then spoke, "Then you are a fool, just like always. You will serve me, whether it is your choice or not." Venelana used the machine to control Sairorg, causing him to scream. He could feel his very life essence being drained from them. Issei decided to act quickly, trying to take him out before Venelana could siphon his essence and powers. But Sairorg was quicker, using a powerful teleportation skill taking the two to a different location. He managed to get free from the trio's fights. The two were teleported away, as Issei exclaimed, "No." Sairorg had a smile, as Rias grabbed him by the collar, and exclaimed in anger, "Where did you send them? Answer me." "Far away from your grasp and reach. You won't stop, Venelana, no matter what you do." And Rias used her chains and aimed it in his gut, causing him to scream in pain. She didn't stop, as she used Hellfire, causing him to scream even more. Rias enjoyed the pain and suffering her so-called father had to endure. Juniper then spoke in response, "Rias, stop for a moment." Rias looked at Juniper and gave a nod, revealing Sairorg's charred face. His clothes were partially burnt, and his hair was sizzling due to the flames. "Ha, you won't get anything from me no matter what happens," Juniper then spoke with a sadistic smirk. "You are going to eat your words." Memory magic. Juniper used memory magic and extract all the memories of Zeocitus. While he screams and holds his head in pain, he tries to resist, but Juniper's magic is too strong. He was unable to do anything. After a while, Juniper spoke with a smile. "Left, underneath the mansion there is a hidden passage room. Although we are going to need the blood of a Gremory to access it." Some looked at Zeocitus, needing to keep him alive, as he was glaring at them with anger and hatred. Rias then walked forward and spoke. "We don't need a man like him alive. We have Gremory blood." Rias showed her vein, as much as she hated her origin and family. This was one of the times she found it useful. She knew her blood would be useful for entering the mansion in the hidden passage room. Meaning, "We have no use for him, let's dispose of him." Kenneo spoke. As before, Zeocitus could escape using his teleportation. Rias bound him with her chains, preventing him from escaping, as she spoke while preparing her location to Limbo, location between the afterlife and the current world. "You belong in the darkest depths of hell or Limbo, for betraying your own 2 children and your daughter-in-law. Your fate is to live alone where you deserve no company, no one to be with you to the rest of your life. Maybe your wife will join you, but that is uncertain. Goodbye and good riddance, father." Zeocitus was pulled into hell with the ground opening up, as he screamed in pain. His flesh was starting to melt, and soon his skeleton was being shown. He tried to speak, but was unable to do so, due to the sheer pain, his hand extending outside trying to escape desperately. The ground soon consumed him and repaired itself, with Zeocitus being trapped in Limbo for all eternity. "Now that's done, let's end this, once and for all." Issei spoke in response, as they all agreed and decided to head to the location where Venelana was present. Scene change. Issei and his team reached the final room. They were joined by the Phoenix siblings minus Ruvel and Rainier as well as Olivia. As Rainier asked, "So this is it?" "Yep, the final room. It's time we end this, one final time." The team nodded, as they destroyed the door. They could see Surzex's shriveled up corpse, as Venelana had broken free from her machine. Ingvild then spoke. "Guess we are too late." Venelana had an evil smile, as she surrounded herself with the powers of Surzex and Rias coupled with the sacred gears she had received. She used its complete powers and unleashed a shockwave that sent everyone flying, knocking out Revel from the fight right away. "No!" Issei exclaimed, as he and Juniper used their holy spells to attack her, only for her to move out of the dimension using Dimension Lost. She soon ambushed them using a purple mist, sending Ingvild and Kuroka flying using a single punch, using the true Longinus, seriously injuring the half-devil and Yukai. Before the others could respond, she once again teleported to another location. "We need to find a way to take her down," Arthur exclaimed, having his sword on guard, as Gabriel was healing a damaged Ingvild and Kuroka. With Biko responding. "But how? She is just teleportation around and trying to take us out one by one." Juniper thought for a moment, and smirked, but before she could attack, Venelana once again ambushed the Phoenix siblings, as Claire fired back at her, but she surprisingly regenerated. Venelana unleashed a powerful burst of destruction magic at the duo, as they were seriously damaged by the attacks. The group exclaimed in horror. "Claire, Riser!" Claire spoke in response. "We will be fine. Our regeneration should fix the damage she has done." Riser nodded in agreement, Venelana ambushing them and eliminating them one by one, so that she could kill them all together. Juniper had a plan. She waited patiently for Venelana to show up, and soon she did show up to harm Kenneo, but before she could land a hit, Juniper grabbed her hand and slammed her to the ground, as she shouted, "Issei, use the system now." "She shouldn't escape." Issei nodded, as he activated the system and started to strip the sacred gears. He struggled to do at first, as he used the boosted gear and respond. Penetrate. Venelana could feel her powers being stripped away, as Issei soon unleashed a move known as Absolute Control, walking towards Venelana and kicked her in the face, causing her to move her head sideways, as he shouted, "Absolute Control, strip all gears!" Venelana shouted in agony as her powers were being stripped away. "No, you can't do this." Issei only responded coldly. "With this form, I have absolute control of the Heaven system and the Sacred Gear system. I can destroy Sacred Gears completely, and even recreate and upgrade them if I want to. I can also strip and siphon them as well." You won't use our friend's powers against us. Gremory Venelana tried to resist and struggle in order to attempt to once again regain her powers, but she felt like losing it even more as time passed by. Kuroka and Biko joined in using Sage Magic too, making her unable to do anything, as Ingvild sang to increase his powers and control. But I am not done yet, you will also be stripped of your power of destruction. It turns out that since demonic magic was just a corrupted version of angelic magic, I can easily reverse the powers that you once have. Rias, on my signal, send her back to Limbo. Rias gave a nod upon this and started to enchant a powerful spell, as the others joined in to weaken Venelana's resistance even further, as she kept screaming in pain. Soon she was completely stripped of her gears, as it came out from her body, as she shouted, "No, it's over, you brown-haired cunt, now off with your powers." Issei started to strip her powers away, reversing the demonic corruption, which was made much easier courtesy of Ingvild's singing. As she screamed in more pain due to this, almost having tears, the ground opened up, as Rias responded, "It's done." Soon her powers were stripped away, as she was in pain. Soon Rias used her chains and grabbed Venelana surrounding her body. Rias made sure the chains were burning to make it more painful. She then spoke, "Your new home is going to be Limbo. You deserve it for the vile and twisted things you have done, Venelana. Zeocidus is waiting for you in the afterlife. Say hi to us." Venelana glared at all of them with hatred, as she was starting to get into Limbo. Her plans were ruined completely, and her family is as good as gone. She was crying helplessly, unable to do anything. She was dragged to hell, as many sighed in relief. However, Venelana was far from done, as she grabbed Issei's leg with her nails and pulled him inside of Limbo. Issei, the team looked at Issei being dragged to hell as Issei managed to use Excalibur rapidly to hold him onto one of the cliffs of Limbo. He could be seen struggling to hold him. He tried to fly, but the gravity in hell was too strong. "If I am going to go down to Limbo, I am taking you with me," Issei Hayata Venelana shouted with a maddened smile, and she relished seeing Issei struggle. She was certainly going to take him out with her. He gritted his teeth in frustration, as he kept kicking her in the face with his other leg, but it did little to nothing. Venelana only gripped his leg tighter. She had a look of madness on it, as the others tried to help Issei get up. "Rias, how long till we have when the portal closes?" Penemia asked, to which Rias responded with a normal tone. "Just a few minutes." The group was scrambling, as Biko tried to use his power pole to get Venelana off, who only hid behind Issei to prevent her from getting hit. He then spoke with frustration. "Damn it, she is using Issei as a shield." Biko spoke with anger, as Arthur responded, "Juniper, can you dragonize a part of your body?" Juniper nodded and spoke with a normal tone. "I can." Juniper dragonesses her back into a huge tail, as she placed it into the portal. Some of the team members held on to her, so that the pulling force wouldn't grab her too. It was better to be safe than sorry. In the meantime, Issei kept kicking her in the face, as he exclaimed, "Get off me, you bitch. Never, I will never get off you. You ruined everything, and now I will make sure you suffer with the rest of my family." Issei scowled and responded, "Keep telling yourself that." Issei kept kicking her harder, as Venelana still tried her best to hold onto his leg, but was losing her grip. She hated this, and tried to keep a hold on. Issei noticed that her face was busted and damaged, with several scars and bruises, but she still held on. However, cackling soon got everyone's attention as Surzex's spirit was seen hovering beside him and Venelana. As Venelana spoke, "Ah, Surzex, right on time. Please help your mother, take him down to purgatory with me." Everyone was even more worried now, and some were fearing for Issei's life, but what Surzex said surprised everyone. "Oh, I am here to help. Help Issei beat you for good, you traitorous hag." Surzex used his spectral form and dragged Venelana to hell herself, all the while she is seen screaming. Issei could see her plummeting to her death, as all she could do is scream and curse with all her heart. All the while Surzex was cackling in happiness, seeing that his so-called mother suffered for what she did to him. The team acted quickly, as a tail came beside him. It was Juniper's golden tail, as she called out, "Issei, grab onto my tail." "Fast!" Juniper shouted as Issei nodded and held her tail tightly, as the team and Juniper pulled him up, as Issei dispelled the sword, and held with both of his hands. He was then pulled out, as Rias closed the portal. His team soon dogpiled on him, with the girls leaping on him first, as they all had a group hug. It was finally over and the group could rest. Well everyone, let's go home. It is finally over. Everyone nodded, as Issei turned to Juniper and Rias, as he spoke. Thank you, both of you for helping us in this. Juniper gave a smile and spoke. It's not a problem, it was the least I could have done. Plus, you did give me a place to stay without any issues, so it was my way of repaying you. If you need anything, just let me know. Rias then added in response. I wasn't able to save my team in my world, at least I was able to save you this time. Plus, I detested the Gremory family anyway, so you needn't be thanking me for this. I would save you and your friends anytime you want. Issei nodded to the two, as Kenneo spoke in response. We should probably head home, being here itself makes me sick. The others agreed as they all headed back home. With Venelana dead and the Gremory family in shambles, to the point of no recovery, Issei and his friends could finally rest with them being eliminated from their lives permanently. A few weeks later, high at a residence, 9 a.m., Issei had finally had some peace. He and his team had defeated Venelana Gremory, and the rest of the family. He knew that now he would finally remain in peace with all of those that want to harm his family, either being dead or being enslaved for the rest of their life, like in Uriel's case. In the aftermath, a few things happened. The last surviving member of the Gremory family, Milikas Gremory, was taken into custody. He was informed that his grandmother was the one that caused their family's destruction by using them for her own gain. Same went for his grandfather as well. This caused him to develop a deep hatred for his own former family, with Ajuka initially raising him. But someone soon came to raise him so that he could continue the Gremory family without being influenced by any of his former family members. That woman was Runia's Gremory. She was the progenitor and the sole survivor of the Gremory family. While she was angry at what happened to her family, she understood why Issei and his team ended up doing it, and considered the current generation of the Gremory family, excluding Milikas, to be a bunch of disgraces. Ajuka still kept tabs on Milikas, and making sure the last descendant of Lucifuge wouldn't die off, since Euclid was still off-grid, and with RageRevan. He also looked after him and made sure he wouldn't be like his parents, since Sairorg realized his mother's actions all too late, which costed him everything. But in the end he helped Issei beat her for good. Heaven's Fall also caused some additional problems, with many souls starting to escape. However, Issei managed to recreate something similar known as Paradise for the said souls and made sure they remained in Paradise. Gabriel volunteered to look after the souls since being the last angel alive, she had to at least do what her father had done so before passing away. Azazel alongside Ajuka became the new leaders of the Alliance, and decided to get in touch with the other factions as well, the Norse faction being another one that joined them. And unlike in canon where Loki interrupted the treaty, none of this happened here and the Alliance went as smoothly as possible. To Issei's surprise, when asked about Issei and his team's involvement about Loki's death, Odin, who is the leader and representative of the faction as well as the father of Loki, didn't hold animosity towards him and his team, and was grateful for taking Fenrir in. He even apologized for what Loki did to Hati and Skoll, Fenrir's children. They understood that they were fed up of Loki's actions and his death was on him, not on Issei and his team. While Sairorg's death was tragic to some people's eyes, no one cried for Venelana. Instead they rejoiced her death, knowing what she would have done to them. Now, Issei was resting in his home, which had become a model home thanks to gaining wealth from Gremory's clan's treasures and businesses. The best part is that everyone had a room of their own and didn't mind handling a part of their business, specializing in a certain field. Ingvild was for music, Kuroka was for handling medicine, Lefay for handling fashion designing alongside Nyx, to name a few. He took a sip of his root beer and soon a knock came from the door of the room. As he spoke, "Yes, who is it?" "It's me, Issei." "Are you busy?" Issei recognized the voice to be Keneo's as he spoke with a smile, while keeping his root beer on the table. "No, you can come in." Issei spoke with a smile, as the fallen angel and the first mate of Issei came in. Upon his and his team's suggestion, Issei asked Kenneo to rejoin Grigori and she did, helping Azazel and the other cadres with their work. She had to deal with Barakiel, but despite what happened to his daughter, he didn't blame her to say the least and was disappointed in her as well as not doing anything to separate her from the Gremory family. "Is there something you want?" Issei spoke, only to find Kenneo walking towards him and seating beside him, wrapping her arms around him and making out for a while, They then soon split up. She then spoke with a gentle smile. There is something I wish to show you. Issei gave a nod, as Kenneo removed something from her pocket as she showed it to him. Issei only widened his eyes, as he looked at Kenneo and back to the thing which was a pregnancy test. It had the digital sign of saying the words, pregnant. Is this true? Kenneo gave a smile, as she kept her hands on her stomach and had slight tears in her eyes. Issei also started to be even more happy, as he exclaimed in happiness, "Oh, I am going to be a father, thank you so much." Issei embraced her completely, as she returned the hug. She was also ecstatic to become a parent herself, something she had never received. They soon split up, and Issei asked, lying on her stomach, "So who are you expecting, boy or a girl?" Kenneo thought for a moment, as she responded with a gentle smile. "Truth be told, I want a boy who I can spoil rotten when he is young. He will be my little angel, no matter what happens." Issei gave a chuckle, to which Kenneo spoke in response, "So, should we give the news to the others?" Issei only took a deep breath and responded, "As much as I would love to, we need to wait for something that needs to be done in order for us to live a normal and peaceful life." Kenneo grew concerned for this, as she asked in response, "Who Issei and why? Tell me now." Issei knew how much Kenneo wanted to start a family, and was even jealous of Barakiel for starting one. She was not going to let anyone ruin this right now. Issei looked at her and spoke, "Tiamat, she is the only one left. But why her? I know of her grudge against Drag, but against us, why?" Issei took a deep breath, as he brought out the boosted gear and responded with a normal tone. "I am sorry, Kenneo, for informing you so late, but she hates my hosts and anyone that they sire. I told this to my partner yesterday, but I remember that the curse I left behind is still active, and one of my previous hosts put another curse that would slowly kill her from inside, meaning she is weaker than before. The best outcome, it would be to kill her once and for all, so that she doesn't become a problem." Issei and Kenneo looked at each other, as he spoke in response. "Very well, Drag, we will do just that, and sorry for killing her. She was once your mate, right?" Drag could only give a sigh and spoke, "After she cheated on me with that white dragon Albion, not anymore. It is a good thing that she can no longer have children, and those children that she had with him died because of the curse. She should have thought of cheating before she had his children. She no longer is my mate." Issei, "You can end her as well, I am not against it. Your family is something that you desired, and now, you can live peacefully." Issei nodded in understanding as he took a look at Kenneo, and she gave a nod and spoke, "Let's go, Issei, we need to stop her. I am not seeing my friends, family and my unborn child suffer like I did." Issei gave a nod, as he had her on the forehead, and they headed to her last location, which was the Familiar Forest. Familiar Forest, Underworld AM. Issei and Kenneo were teleported to the location, alongside a middle-aged man with a lanky appearance. He has a neck-length red hair tied in a low ponytail and has brown eyes. He wears a white top, black short with a green sweater wrapped around his waist, white socks, brown sneakers, black fingerless gloves, a dark blue cap, and carries a yellow backpack. This was Zatuji. "Thanks for leading us here, Zatuji." Zatuji returned a smile and spoke, "It was not an issue, and it was thanks to you that me and my family were safe from that hag Venelana. I wish the two of you luck in dealing with Tiamat. She is hidden in the cave to the north of the forest." Issei gave a nod, as Zatuji teleported back home. He gave a nod to Kenneo and spoke, "Let's go." Kenneo responded with a normal tone, "Yes." Kenneo walked forward alongside Issei, as the couple reached the cave, walking together to the location. Kenneo acted quickly, generating a light spear and creating a torch-like object in her hands, as she responded, "Perks of being a fallen angel." Issei shook his head and they walked forward. As soon they could see a blue-haired woman on the ground, almost half dead. She was barely clothed, with only her privates being covered. She almost looked like a cavewoman from a children's cartoon show. "So this is your fate, huh?" Tiamat. Drag spoke with spite towards his former mate. The duo were surprised as Issei asked, "That's Tiamat?" Kenneo added in response, "I was expecting a fight. Hell, I even put a barrier spell to protect my child in an event things get south." Kenneo responded to Drag's question. Kenneo put this spell just before they entered the Familiar Forest. Her intention was to keep her child safe, regardless of who her enemy was, whether it be Tiamat or someone else in the future. She insisted on coming with Issei, who only sighed with reluctance and let her come with him. Yep, that is her, the same mate that stabbed me in the back with Albion. Who knew she would be in this state? Guess karma is catching up to her. Drake spoke with total spite for his former mate. Tiamat could be seen coughing in response. She had opened her eyes slowly yet steadily, barely able to keep them up, as she finally had spoken with a cold yet solemn tone. Harsh as ever, aren't you? Drake still hold hatred towards me? Drake only responded with a tone of anger. And you are still unrepentant as ever, aren't you? Tiamat, I am glad the curse is finally claiming its life completely, after centuries. You are dying a miserable and lonely death, like you deserve for what you did to me and my host. Drake spoke with anger, as Tiamat only turned her gaze away in slight regret for what she had done. She had hated Drake for destroying her children that she had with Albion, and now she had nothing left. She was on the verge of death, as one of her hosts amplified the curse that Drake had set up, making it slowly and painfully kill her from the inside. Her every life, her every existence was filled with nothing but pain. She soon started to laugh all of a sudden, before coughing up blood on the ground, as she spoke in response. Guess this is my fate. I will soon move to the afterlife. If there is one for dragons anyway. I have no time left anyway. There was silence in the cave, before Issei finally spoke up. Why did you cheat on Drake, and was it worth cheating on him with Albion to weaken him? Tiamat remained silent for a while. Issei wanted to follow it up, but Kenneo stopped, seeing that she was going to speak. As Tiamat finally spoke, he didn't give me children, like I always wanted. He was obsessed with fighting against Albion, refusing to spend time with me. Eventually, I started to grow resentful of him for abandoning me. Cough. Then Albion came in. He suggested me that us doing the deed would make him become a better person. I didn't accept this at first, but he was persistent, and you eventually gave in to his demands of cheating on him, right? Kenneo spoke with slight anger. She hated what Albion had done to get a one-up against Drake, but her hatred was also directed towards Tiamat for accepting this to happen. Why, yes, I did. Cough. I betrayed him by doing it with Albion. He convinced me that he would give me the children that I always desired, and when Drake found out, he cursed me, destroying my children in the process, and while suffering the curse, he took down Albion as well, eventually allowing the three factions to seal them in. The couple had a look of horror, as Issei gave a look towards Kenneo, and she was holding her child. They had to do it multiple times to let it happen, but it was them. Issei knew that Kenneo wouldn't betray his trust, and she never did. And now she was holding his child, someone he was going to raise and protect at all costs. He held his hand, assuring that he was going to stay by her side, as Drake asked, "So tell me, Tiamat, was it worth having those children with him?" Tiamat responded by coughing. "No, I lost them, because of your curse. They died because of my foolish and impatient decision of listening to Albion's advice, and it costed me everything. I vented my anger of losing them on you and your hosts, and that costed me my future. I have nothing left, only regrets of my decisions." Tiamat once again coughed as Drake spoke in response. "Goodbye, Tiamat." Drake didn't say much, soon cutting off the connection with him, as Issei spoke in response. "I think we should also leave. We are done here. Tiamat is dying anyway, and it would be best if she is left to die." Kenneo nodded in agreement, as she walked away with Issei, but Tiamat called out with what strength she had left. "Wait!" Tiamat staggered, barely able to keep alive, as Issei and Kenneo turned around and spoke. What? Issei asked, to which Tiamat crawled, but not before falling flat to the ground and speaking while raising her head up. What is your name? Cough. Issei looked at her and spoke. "Issei Hayadu, the strongest red dragon emperor of the current generation." "And Tiamat, it is best if you close your eyes and rest. Let go of your hatred and move to the afterlife. Who knows what will happen there?" Tiamat did what Issei asked her to do, as she used what remained of her strength and lied on the cavern walls. She gave a look of a sad smile. She regretted what she had done. She had nothing or no one left to care for her. She soon closed her eyes and took her last breath, dying alone with no one to cry or care for her. Issei looked at Tiamat one final time, before he left the room, with Kenneo following suit. "Let's go." Kenneo nodded, as she took a look at her womb, sensing the life growing inside of her. Issei looked at her and gave a smile, as he spoke. "Be patient, our child will come out after some months." Kenneo gave a chuckle and spoke with a normal tone. I can't wait. Kenneo spoke, as the couple left the familiar forest without any issues. There was no one to plague their lives anymore, and no one to harm their loved ones anymore. Scene change. Time skip brought to you by Chibi Issei reading books for being a good father. Several weeks later, Forests Co. 9 p.m. Juniper was seen back in her Empress clothing. She had a suitcase in her hands, as she was joined by Issei and his team alongside Ajuka and Azazel. Issei then spoke, so this is where we part ways, huh? Juniper gave a nod, and spoke, yep, and remember this, all of you are welcome in Arcadia. Just let me know when and where you guys want to go. I have already given you the device that allows you all instant teleportation her and back to Arcadia. Issei gave a nod and spoke, we will, plus you are part of the team and by extension, the family as well. Juniper responded by giving a genuine smile, as Azazel soon spoke in response. Well, the ship is ready to head out, you should have enough fuel for billion light years. Plus, the technology of the ship is quite priceless. I wish to investigate it even further. Juniper understood this and responded with a slight stern tone. Do research, but keep in mind it doesn't fall into the Chaos Brigade's hands. I still don't trust them with the technology. Is that clear? Azazel gave a nod in understanding, as Ajuka responded to this. Worry not, Juniper, it is kept safely in a compartment in my lab which only I and Azazel have access to. So the information and by extension the technology is safe. Juniper gave a nod and spoke. Thank you, Ajuka. Well, I think it would be best if I take my leave. It was nice meeting all of you, and Kenneo, look after the little one growing in your womb. Kenneo gave a nod, looking at her womb which was growing in size, meaning the child was healthy. The other girls were jealous that they aren't pregnant, which even included Olivia, Sona, Claire and Sarah Fall, who joined the harem as well. Issei could only shake his head in amusement, as he spoke. This is goodbye then. Once again thank you for your help against Venelana and our enemies. Juniper gave a nod, as the duo shook hands. She then walked inside her ship, as it started to fly off in the air, with many covering their hair in order for them to not get affected by the ship. Soon the ship flew off, as it went into the atmosphere and soon out of the space. Well, this is it then. Arthur spoke in response, as he continued. She will head back to her home, and we will be on our way as well. Nick spoke in response. Indeed, plus it is good that all of us are coming back together, and we have no chance of splitting up, ever. Nix added, to which Biko spoke, true, never again. Issei soon spoke for everyone's stead, and responded, yeah, and guys, we have our lives ahead. We can now live peacefully, and no matter what the future holds for us, we will fight for our future, no matter what happens. There is no one that will destroy the bond we have, no matter what happens. Right, guys? Sarah Fall spoke with a normal tone. I couldn't agree anymore. I even found someone who I want to spend the rest of my life with. Sona agreed to her sister's words, as Claire spoke in response. Yep, I totally agree, and now a new member of our family will be joining us, right? Kenneo gave a smile, as Kuroka spoke in response. Naya, I am so jealous. I wonder if I will get pregnant. Issei shook his head and spoke with a normal tone. Soon, we have so much time left, there is no hurry. Plus, I do want to finish high school, after all it is our final year, before all of us settle down with our lives, right guys? The group cheered in response. Yeah, Issei soon looked at Rias, from a different timeline and asked, so are you also going to head back to your timeline? Rias nodded and spoke with a normal tone. I might in the future, but not for now. I plan on staying back. I just found people whom I can call a family. I have lost people to my birth family, and I don't plan on losing this one as well. Issei gave a nod, as Ingvild spoke in response. You are family to us, and way better than our timeline. Rias. It is good she is gone forever, and you are welcome in our home anytime you want. Gabriel spoke in agreement, and with a normal tone. Yeah, you are not the spoiled brat that many timelines are known to have. Gabriel spoke, remembering Juniper revealing the multiverse to the group, surprised to see many differences than the ones in their timeline. I don't know if I take it as a compliment, or not. Ingvild soon responded with a normal tone. Up to you, but I think we should all head home. Ingvild's words were agreed by her team, as Ajuka spoke in response. I and Azazel will also head back to our factions. We have some work remaining as well. Azazel gave a nod, and spoke with a gentle tone. Yeah, and look after Kenneo. The next few months would be really rocky for you, Issei, especially with her cravings. Azazel ended with a smirk, earning a glare of murder from the cadre, as Issei looked at him and spoke. Worry not. I will take care of it. Issei spoke, as Kuroka responded. And he is not alone, we all will be there for her. We all are going to live a normal and happy life. And no one is going to stop us. The others agreed to this, as they all retired back to their homes and factions. It was finally over, and now a life of happiness followed them. Scene change. Solar system. Juniper was pressing some buttons on her ship, as she took a deep breath. She finally found a way to head back home. Soon a transmission came belonging to Arcadian origin, as she patched it through, and a familiar voice spoke up. Oh Juniper, finally I managed to get into contact with you. You had gone off the grid for months. Juniper recognized the voice to be Jean Arc, the Supreme General of Arcadia. As she was surprised by this, she had only been in Issei's planet for several weeks. She then responded, No Jean, I was only there for a few weeks. My ship actually crashed onto the planet, and it was because of Issei and his friends that I was even able to get it working, else I might have been stranded on that planet. A sigh of relief was heard on the other side, as Jean spoke in response. So it seems like we found our Issei. Juniper gave a nod and spoke with a smile. He is a good kid. Strong but kind, always protecting those that he cares for. Like many of his counterparts, he is heroic, kind-hearted, selfless and helpful. Unlike the one we feared, there is zero resemblance of that monster in Issei. Jean seemed to hum in understanding, as she spoke. If you say so, Juniper, at least this one isn't like Draken. It would be best if we look after him. If he needs our help, it would be best if we lend it. Plus, with what you said, he would be welcome in Arcadia anytime he wants. Juniper agreed to this, as she spoke with a normal tone. I did let him do so, but asked him to inform me prior, since his sudden arrival can startle and even worry the Arcadians as well. Many are weary of an evil variant of him showing up, so I would have to prepare in advance if he shows up. Jean understood the situation, as she soon spoke. It is for the best, and Juniper, the kids and the rest of us were getting worried for you. Are you coming back now? Juniper gave a nod and spoke with a normal tone. I am, telling them that their mother is coming soon. Jean spoke the final words before cutting off the call. I will see you in Arcadia, Juniper. Juniper cuts off the call as she lies on the seat of her ship. She remembered her counterparts being in a relationship with him. She wasn't against being in one, but she saw him as a little brother, for now that is. Regardless, she still cared for and cherished him. Well, might as well head home now. Juniper puts the ship on autopilot as it took her to the nearest base station before moving to Arcadia. She needed to stock up on some fuel before moving to Arcadia. She learned her lesson when she was stranded, and won't repeat the same mistake again. She soon slept inside her ship, as it piloted itself to a nearby base station under Arcadia, knowing that she can go home assured that Issei is an ally and not an enemy, and will never be an enemy. Thanks for watching this video. You really enjoy this video. Like, subscribe, and comment down below, and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support and follow RageRevan for writing that awesome fanfic, and also make sure to comment on this story, link in the description. See you in the next video. Goodbye.